My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. That's light manifesting, orange color light manifesting from shade The light is on the opposite side of this building. The fake sun is rising on the same on the east side of the same building where it's at after 5:50 p.m. like I documented yesterday. This is light, again, manifesting out of shade, out of darkness. This is where stalking is underway. And it's specifically surveillance. It's monitoring by demons. And that's impossible light activity shooting horizontally through the door as it's opened. See, this is impossible light activity. And this is what the demon Tracy Banks manifests as she walks in and out of the apartment monitoring. This is light coming through the crack in the door when this is shade. So this small little crack over here, and then just going into the kitchen where the blue tinted engineer light covers all the walls at nightfall. And during the day, all the engineer light that's all over the ceiling, light activity, relevant positioning, and a psychopath that monitors in plain view. And this is impossible light. So the one crack in the door is creating two. This is impossible light. This is light manifesting in the shade. This coming in the kitchen, monitoring. And that's, again, audible activity under the fake sun. When she walks away from it, it stays right over the building. She's going to a mental asylum, and that's impunity that I'm documenting. And this is all shade. So everything that's happening inside of the apartment is pursuant to monitoring. That's light activity. The fake sun reflecting off of the building right here. Impossible light activity. This is the same building where the fake sun is remaining. Okay, this is P.O.C. And that's a sex offense while you're being molested with light that's manifesting out of nowhere. That's terrorism and psychological torture, and that's mental illness exhibited by somebody that's monitoring. That's the entity that's sounding sirens, remember, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the fake sun is right here. And the demons are monitoring me inside of this apartment. And engineer light is shooting through the patio glass door at 5:40 p.m. And the demons are stalking with noise. This is my shadow that's appearing at a distance away from me on the ground when I'm standing in the shade. Oh, what's the iteration of that? You've seen this in Los Angeles where the demons are monitoring at Alvarado Gardens and the fake sun is reflecting off of Silverview townhomes a quarter of a mile away from me, and my shadow's appearing on the ground. That's understanding the sex offense that's happening inside of Tracy Banks' apartment when she opens and closes that door. This is a demon witnessing her own exposure. That's a psychopath. That's not the sun. That's called light activity while you're stalking in the path, and they're all doing the same thing inside of the apartment building. The demons are engaging in what is the pattern of conduct, flying in circles in helicopters. Those are demons. Flying over this same building at 10:54 in the morning, flying over my head, demons. Walking by in the parking lot with your hazard lights on while this fake sun is over this same building at 5:40 p.m., demons of the Ontario Police Department gang stalking with Tracy Banks, okay? That's the P.O.C. Tracy Banks is not concerned about anything that I'm doing with regard to what is evidence against her. She's going to a mental assignment. Everybody in this building, everyone in this building is going to prison and mental assignments. This is domestic terrorism. This is surveillance of a satanic nature. This is P.O.C. No light's going to manifest and appear on the living room wall. Coming outside of the door, come inside of the house is a demon that's monitoring. P.O.C. This is all manner of impossible light activity. Light that is impossibly occurring in an impossible manner. Manifesting through the patio glass doors after 5 p.m., my shadow appearing on this wall. And remember, this is not sunlight that's reflecting off of this window. You're witnessing the demonic. That's not the sun, and that's not a reflection of the sun in the same way that the sun is not over this same building and then reflecting off of a windshield to bounce into the living room patio glass doors and create what is light activity on the walls either. It's not the sun. You're breaking down what is satanic. That's impossible light. My shadow is appearing on the ground at a distance. That's called crossing path, and that's not a reflection of the sun, and that's understanding a demon that's monitoring. With Tracy Banks, by the way. Tracy Banks is just one third party. This is the purpose of having a fake sun over an apartment building, and they're monitoring my genitalia in the bathroom as well. License 6GRJ178. This is a sex offender that acts with impunity and disregard. They do the same thing with the police department. That's audible activity and engineer light, not a reflection. No reflection off of the fake sun, off of the window right now. That's a demon monitoring with a bad weave, okay? This is P.O.C. Title 18. Cellulite and all, gang stalking and engineer light, demons of all races, of all sizes, clearly, and focused on my genitalia, homosexual conduct. Okay, I don't welcome attention to my genitalia by women or males, but they're obsessed with it. Monitoring when my panties are down in the bathroom, monitoring with the Ontario Police. Black lives do not matter to African Americans in America, in California, who are gang stalking with the gang stalking police and their demons alike. Engaging in what is pacing, just like Tracy Banks is inside of her living room with impossible light activity. That's P.O.C. and that's pacing, not a delivery. All right, it's 6GRJ178, making a delivery, and engineer light is the pattern of conduct. Light activity and impossible light activity. Excuse me, light activity while you're walking in the impossible light. Light that's just in the shade. That's how you're accomplishing monitoring. And they do the same thing over the same sidewalk at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and Lynda Reyes is going to federal prison. This P.O.C. Daryl J. Carter's problems are being documented with regard to the entity that's gang stalking through the population that keeps a fake sun over this sidewalk. And it's the same accomplishment when you are reflecting off of the windows. This African American female has been documented before at unit number 41. Gang stalking. This is P.O.C. That was the means of audible activity, light activity, and this is the supernatural character of that criminal pattern of conduct. And Tracy Banks has help with targeting her own daughter. That's why they're all going to prison. That's the significance of the fake sun and the engineer light. Anybody coming onto the grounds aiding in the pattern of conduct. This is what Tracy Banks is doing at 5:40 p.m. where the fake sun's over the same building. She's in the parking lot with her hazard lights on. That's very demonic. It's light activity in the environment while the demons are pacing all around. And doing so is speaking to intent when you're doing so amongst a supernatural phenomenon where the city of Ontario is engaging in that pattern of conduct with the people of the state. And these are demons who are monitoring together. It's 6:40 a.m. 4 hours from now, the 10:54 a.m. fake sun is right over my head. That's speaking to the intent of a black female who is a demon and a violent sex offender, gang stalking with all those who are going to prison. The employees of AVANATH are going to prison, and also the residents in units 33 through 64 are going to prison. And that's how the entity is gang stalking together as an entity. This is P.O.C. That's impossible light activity right there. P.O.C. This is documentation pursuant to criminal summoning that Tracy Banks is engaging with the African American female in the Ultima in the parking lot, stalking in the path with her, and calling the gang stalking police who are monitoring with her in hundreds of videos. But as of late, on May 16, 2025, under the fake sun at 5:40 p.m., that's the police that she's threatening to summon. Those are the psychopaths that are going to federal prison together, by the way. It's the iteration of the same P.O.C., and this is obstruction of justice while she's documented engaging in gang stalking her own relative that she's conspired to murder, and then resorts to nothing other than name calling and harassment because she's being documented. When I do the same thing that her overweight son, Eric Spencer, does, walk outside of the apartment on his communication device. He happens to be addicted to cancer sticks, but the demon is fearful of me going outside because I'm documenting her, and she's going to a mental asylum for it. This is what she's calling the police about. While she's engaged in what is the use of her communication device to engage in federal stalking, she's the one that's going to be prosecuted for it. And engaged in what is summoning the police that are gang stalking and furtherance of murder and kidnapping, they're the ones that are in repeated kidnappings together. This is the exact same iteration. She locks herself in the bathroom while she's being documented. And she resorts to name calling, and so I'm reminding her the truth of everything that she's stating to me actually applies to her, except for the fact that she is not a lawyer. She knows no laws whatsoever. She engages in things like having sex with attorneys in order to accomplish getting favors from them. All right, this is nothing other than an envious demon. Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740, and use of her communication device. It's currently 6:49 a.m. And engaging in criminal summoning is the pattern of conduct that Lynda Reyes is going to federal prison for. This is P.O.C. Everything that comes out of the mouth of the entity is going to be used against them to prosecute them. And it's all the acts of demons who are fearful and engage in resort to such tactics in order to engage in harassment and obstruction of justice. All right, this is the demon that's engaged in what is not calling the police anymore. As soon as you document, I want to be clear, though, this is exactly what's documented on April 7, 2025, and you're listening to the phone call after I documented that, and then the entity sought to try to erase that from the record, so I had to go through gymnastics to make sure that you could hear the totality of that video, of that documentation captured on podcast on April 7, 2025, where she's engaged in what is calling someone on the phone, telling them about absolutely lawful behavior, about how I'm holding my phone just like she is, how I'm talking into my phone just like she is, trying to describe something that's on its surface just like they require on its surface. It so does appear that I'm not violating any laws. And by the way, in substance, the gang stalking entity will be prosecuted for criminal summoning with the intent to obstruct justice when you're getting into surface of a monitoring demon who resorts to criminal summoning to obstruct justice. In other words, to to harass you, to defame you, to kidnap you with the same gang stalking police officers, okay? That's the significance of calling the Ontario Police Department, who don't have any authority under the law. Jonathan Burnett on May 4th, 2019 demonstrated that the Ontario Police Department are gang stalkers who are capable of pulling out their communication devices, knowing everything that's being said right now. You're engaged in criminal summoning, not engaged in anything that is lawful. You're monitoring in this apartment. It's nothing other than criminal summoning, and trying to what is harass and name call a federal prosecutor. That's nothing other than a baboon. This is a promiscuous Jezebel spirit, a whore who is surrounded with evidence and resorts to nothing other than name calling. Okay, so the facts are is that this over-the-hill wrinkly demon is hostile and envious of my abilities that I hold in my pinky and resorting to name-calling, which is not stopping a prosecution. And it's all audible activity that's going to be used against all of her co-defendants in units 33 through 64 who are under the fake sun that's reflecting off of the same building. That's the evidence tantamount to being under the same fake sun that it's reflecting off of the windows of that same building, where it's still remaining at 10:54 a.m. where the Ontario Police that she's engaging in what is threatening to call the Ontario Police that are already monitoring, already stalking, and engaging in what is, while they're stalking in helicopter at 8:49 in the morning, while they're getting stalked by helicopter at 10:54 in the morning, like I documented on May 16, 2025, and like I documented with her at 5:40 p.m. while it's over this same building. The same building, it's reflecting off of the windows of this building, where an African-American gang stalking demon who's monitoring with Tracy Banks, she's going to federal prison as well. The entity is surrounded with evidence. You call the police, they're going to prison, you're going to prison, and gang stalking with that entity. She's engaged in criminal summoning. You're not only engaged in monitoring me when you're walking across that sidewalk where the fake sun is present, and you're engaging in the elements of monitoring. That entity then resorts to what is federal stalking and doing so. I'm going to call the police while you're not breaking the law, and you're also in substance not breaking the law while you're monitoring and you're documenting the government that's monitoring you. That's a psychopath that has ran out of tactics. I've documented every iteration of the P.O.C, especially by this promiscuous 60-some-odd-year-old whore who calls the people of the state who are going to prison with her. She's out of tactics and engaging in what is harassment because I'm documenting you, because you're hostile to me capturing what is the weather. Why are you so bothered about me documenting the weather? Because you know the significance of that weather, which exposes you as someone who is not the targeted individual, who has sought to fraudulently claim that you are me, that you are in the status that I am, when you are the demon, the sex offender, the pedophile as well, gang stalking me for a prolonged period, trying to steal my content, trying to engage in what is fraudulently representing yourself as me, Erica Spencer, when you are not. You are Tracy Banks, born in 63, over 60 years old, with a track record of busting it wide open for demons, hundreds of the like, and they need to be checked. Those who have engaged in sexual activity with Tracy Banks, engaged in monitoring her own daughter and using sexual activity to acquire those that would have that same demonic spirit while they're monitoring me together. This is how Tracy Banks' promiscuity is relevant while she's had sex with those in my social circle. People like Jason Isaac Fields, who is she still today engaged in conspiring to take my life, and I'm documenting her because she's going to a mental asylum, she's going to prison, she's going to be subject to what is confinement for engaging in what is conspiracy to murder, and her gang stalking me is evidence relevant to her ability and her willingness to conspire to murder me while she's resorting to threats of criminal summoning with the gang stalking police, while she's engaging in what is nothing other than name calling, which is audible activity, while she's monitoring with all the co-defendants who are engaging in harassment with her, engaging in criminal defamation with her, engaging in what is psychological torture with her, while a psychopath is engaging in what is monitoring through nothing other than harassment tactics. It is currently 6:54 a.m. Her phone records are going to be used to prosecute the people of the state. Dan Ackery is the one that she's documenting gang stalking me in Engineer Light. Daryl Mandy is the one that she's gang stalking me with and comes with the Ontario Police while she's pacing around in Engineer Light. Eric Spencer is the demon that's gang stalking with her while she's on her communication device pacing in Engineer Light, monitoring with the Ontario Police. The entity is doing so with the people of the state on her communication device, with whom she is always nothing other than a liability. And her inability, her lack of intelligence to control her mouth, because she is now a defendant in a federal case with the whole government and the people of the state that are going down with her. This is the entity that's engaging in the very foolish acts of obstruction of justice. It's currently 6:55 a.m. and this is the component to documenting psychopaths who are violent sex offenders, and then they are again threatened by what it is that you're documenting them engaging in what they're doing. And a psychopath's behavior is that which increases that aggression, increases that criminal conduct, which is supposed to deter you from documenting and enforcing your rights. Only a delusional psychopath and a violent sex offender that's engaged in what is getting away with it for too long resorts to that. It's not working, and doing it against a federal prosecutor, you can state that I'm not a lawyer all you want, but I'm using the law, I'm legally analyzing it, and I'm prosecuting it, and the government is listening to me and watching you violate it. Violate in the ways in which I said beforehand. That's exactly what you're going to do, because they are in fact the demon-possessed who are in fact monitoring. It's currently, by the way, 6:55 a.m. This is, pay attention to the documentation on April 7, 2025, on April 14, 2025, because the people of the state are on the phone monitoring together, just like they're doing, and they're doing it at Engineer Light, they're doing it under the fake sun, they're doing it with the Ontario Police Department that she brings into the conversation. That's why they're being disbanded in the first place. That's a guise of a method of trying to harass, and the police don't have any jurisdiction. This is audible activity. This is audible activity in Engineer Light. This is P.O.C. This is a demon who's, everything that she's doing is in the Engineer Light, and the people of the state are on the communication device monitoring with her. Let me show you the impossible light inside of her apartment. This is P.O.C. While you're having a conversation about being so fed up because I'm documenting you being a gang stalker, while you're engaging in, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, Tracy Banks is going to a mental asylum. That's where she's going. And the people that stayed on her communication device at 6:56 a.m., they're going to be prosecuted as well. They're not ignorantly engaging in the elements of monitoring under the fake sun. They're not ignorantly monitoring with the police department, the Ontario Police Department. And by the way, this is the same criminal system she's engaging in when she's repeatedly engaging in kidnapping and fictitious prosecutions with the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, with the Ontario Police Department, including her son, Eric Corey Spencer, conspiring not only my murder, but conspiring what is the intent to profit from my demise, having insurance policies in furtherance of profiting from my demise, when I have never died, by the way, lying about the fact that I'm alive, lying about the fact, that I'm not alive. This is the same demon engaging in that, and is always living in what is the moment right now and forgetting about a body of evidence and facts that surround her. She's going to a mental asylum. This is P.O.C. resorting to what is laughter when nothing is funny is the behavior of a psychopath that cannot handle the heat of the facts that surround her, and not being controlled by illusions, which the demon-possessed require. This is somebody that's also practicing witchcraft, spiritually attacking, and knowing exactly the significance of capturing the fake sun over her apartment. This is the P.O.C. The people of the state, that's a male on the phone at 6:57 a.m. Her phone records are going to be used to prosecute the people of the state. It is currently, again, 6:57 on May 21st, 2025. The people of the state engaging in the elements of monitoring with her, entertaining criminal defamation, entertaining what are acts of harassment, psychological torture, entertaining what is ongoing threats. They're going to federal prison as well. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, the video that you just listened to is video capturing, first of all, the fake sun at 6 in the morning. So this is well earlier than the 5:40 p.m. fake sun that the same defendant that you hear engaging in what is harassment, and she's pacing an Engineer Light. This is a psychopath, and then you're also going to then analyze the behavior. This person is pacing an Engineer Light while making verbal threats, monitoring with the people of the state on a communication device. It's federal stalking, it's gang stalking in relevant position, and then it's also that which is intended to obstruct justice while a demon who was hostile and resorting to nothing other than name calling. It has a legal significance with regard to the ongoing obsessive acts of obstruction of justice. The entity resorting to what is referring to the gang stalkers who are the police department is the entity that's going to federal prison with the demons of that police department. You're not calling the police that are ignorant about anything that's going on, which again, the state actor Jonathan Burnett, Prisca So, the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court have demonstrated that, and Tracy Banks is engaged in what is a desperate act of obstruction of justice while she is in denial about what it is that I am with regard to prosecuting her and documenting her, and also her hostility toward doing exactly what her overweight son does, Eric Spencer, when he's in the apartment monitoring me, and he's on his device like I am, and he walks outside like I did, and he's in use of his communication device like I am, and he is engaging in what is walking on the sidewalk, walking outside, smoking, even engaging in what is conversing with the people outside. What's the difference between what I'm doing and what he's doing with regard to what is specific knowledge? They should not be, if they're not monitoring, aware of who it is that I'm talking on the phone. Should not be, if they're not monitoring, concerned with who I'm talking to on the phone, or the fact that I'm outside, which means nothing in and of itself, and the fact that Eric is here walking outside in operation of his phone under the same fake sun and is talking about whatever it is that he is free to talk about. This is something that would not be any cause for concern, but it is because this demon is fearful of the evidence that's being captured while she is engaging in what is monitoring, which is her foolish decision to do so. And I'm documenting it. And by the way, you have every right under the constitutions in order to do so. Somebody that's engaging in name calling, stating that you're not a lawyer, that's the same demon that tells herself that she is me. This is the same demon that tells herself that she's not going to be prosecuted. This is the same demon that lies to herself and other people about the absence of coincidences. This is the same demon that laughs at the top of her lungs in order to block out the audible activity that is damning her with regard to the legal analysis that's going to be used to prosecute her for the malicious pattern of conduct that she's engaging in as an unhinged psychopath who is monitoring as a demon. And the demons that she calls on the phone while she's engaging in what is resorting to what is literally inappropriately misplaced hostility, which on its face, based on my walking outside being on my phone, should not cause any attention. The demon is walking into the kitchen, monitoring in the blue tinted engineer light that's filling her apartment at nightfall, the engineer light that's filling her apartment during the day when my shadow's appearing on her living room wall. This is the same apartment where she's monitoring me and then gang stalking me also on the job, stating that I am in some sort of position that is less than her. She shreds paper for a living. She's gang stalking as a property management employee, which is, again, from her stalking me. I was in property management first way back when I was in my 20s, and I decided to go into what is escrow. And this demon that was stalking me only went into property management because she was stalking me and she got the idea from me. This is something that is very much pathetic what this 60-year-old gang stalking demon is engaging in, and I'm being very vivid in my adjectives and using describing this defendant because of the pathetic status that she maintains while she's fully surrounded with facts, not illusions that are going to have any effect. The illusions that she realizes is going to be used to diagnose her mental illness. The illusions are relevant to the malice of gang stalking. The facts are proving that she is the criminal, that the evidence proves that she is, and that she is also engaging in the satanic pattern of conduct in concert with the people of the state that she relies on. This demon needs somebody to help her engage in the elements of monitoring. This demon needs somebody to accompany her while she is fearful of the truth that I speak and engage in what is name calling, speaking lies about the fact that she's been gang stalking a licensed attorney who is then still the same legal expert because I don't pay my fees. And what is that? That's the financial inability to pay licensure fees when you're gang stalking me. That has nothing to do with being in your apartment and lacking the ability to take care of myself because you're gang stalking. That's exactly why she's getting locked up. That's the malice of an entity that's a sex offender, a pedophile since I was a child, and is still a sex offender, molesting me with engineer light, which is what you see occurring in her apartment as I open the front door. She is still a sex offender, and she's a sex offender monitoring with the people of the state that she's calling on the phone in order to comfort her and distract away from the hostility that she cannot conceal, as I am always exposing her as a demon, a Jezebel spirit in particular, and a violent sociopathic, psychopathic stalker who is obsessed with me and was unsuccessful in failing. It's unsuccessful in failing in trying to act like she is me, deceiving people that she is me, which again, no fool would ever believe that. She doesn't look like me. She's not the same height as me. She does not have the same build as me. She's obviously aged. She has wrinkles. She has cellulite. She has double chin. She has gray hairs. She wears a lot of fake hair. There is nothing even similar to us, other than the fact that she's relying on what is witchcraft, and these are demonic spirits, the use of illusions, while she was fraudulently maintaining her identity as being myself. Now, while she wants to both be me and wants to feign being the targeted individual, as I've demonstrated in my evidence that she has sought to steal and misrepresent as hers, she is hostile to my capturing that evidence while she's engaging in that pattern of conduct. And then engaging in what is documented harassment and threats of criminal summoning, you're also cornered by that evidence. Who is it that you're calling? Oh, the gang stalkers of the Ontario police? That's what you're calling? That's speaking to the same entity that she's kidnapping and criminally defaming with. And there's also evidence fully supporting that as well. She is in the middle of all of that evidence. And the inexplicable hostility when I'm doing exactly what her son Eric Spencer does, walk outside of the apartment, which doesn't mean that you're living here, and everybody knows that she's a psychopath and that the demon possessed know exactly who I am and where I'm at while they are monitoring me inside of her apartment. This is a whole malicious and delusional narrative whereby she's doing nothing other than monitoring monitoring and harassing me for documenting her, and then engaging in what is nothing other than name calling me, stating a demon, by the way, a high school graduate, a promiscuous whore who could not sit through one college course, is doing nothing other than name calling, which is an audible activity, while she is merely stating, which is not true. I am not a lawyer, and I've never been a lawyer, but she sat at what is while she was monitoring me, by the way, when I'm getting sworn in to practice law, where all of that entity was monitoring me while I was sworn in to the California bar, but yet I'm not a lawyer. Paying my fees to be a practicing attorney does not relieve, again, this demon that is envious, stating that I don't have a law degree anymore because she's been gang stalking me for years, and the inability to pay a large fee to be a part of that club, which I don't even care to be, and clearly I don't need it in order to prosecute the state of California and prosecute this high school graduate. Okay, she's a promiscuous whore. It doesn't take much to prosecute her, and she's also envious about that. So resorting to what is nothing other than name calling. Oh, you're not a lawyer? Okay, well, this non-lawyer is going to prosecute you, and I've already done that. This demon is engaging in that. I'm going to call 911, and is pacing and monitoring an engineer light, and doing so under the fake sun, the same fake sun that police department that she's referring to, which is supposed to be an act of obstruction of justice because they're gang stalking and engaging in what is a documented pattern of monitoring what's going on in this apartment, and referring to them while they're gang stalking with you is exactly why they're being disbanded. I'm referring to the Ontario Police Department under the corrupt leadership of Derek Williams and remaining under the corrupt leadership of Mike Lorenz, while Paul Leon is also going to be removed from office. This is what is the false sense of empowering the demon-possessed who are monitoring with the government to then resort to referring to that government that is supposed to engage in what is kidnapping in order to obstruct you, that is deter you from enforcing your rights against them, from who want to monitor you. Remember, Tracy Banks is monitoring in furtherance of murdering me and kidnapping me. She is the same person that has conspired with the people of the state who will testify against her that she plotted my murder, that she plotted to profit from my murder, and she is the same one foolishly engaging in what is name calling when there are facts that are speaking to the malice that she's exhibiting today inside of this apartment, when she's resorting to name calling, which is also being legally analyzed to prosecute her, when she is resorting to what is name calling other than stating that I'm not a lawyer, which is a lie. A licensed attorney versus a lawyer, look up the difference. And regardless of that, guess what? I could have never gone to law school, and I'm still prosecuting her. This is somebody that is engaging in what is delusion while she is being prosecuted. Requiring and in need of what is an audience, the people of the state, they're going to be prosecuted for that. Tracy Banks' cell phone records are going to be used in the prosecution of the people of the state gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments. This is what she's doing at Engineer Light. Those demons share in criminal defamation. That's automatically published, serving to threaten your liberty and your reputation while they are in real time engaging in monitoring at the same. The people of the state are going to federal prison for that. The people of the state are sharing in harassment. They're doing so while the demons outside of the apartment, the same police department that she's referring to, gang stalking by helicopter, they're doing so in video. Look at Tracy Banks gang stalking with the Ontario Police Department at 8:31 in the morning. I'll remind you about that video evidence where she's stating that me, who is not a lawyer apparently, is prosecuting her with that evidence that's already sitting on the record. Look at the video evidence, which is also speaking to the fake sun that she's under when she's engaging in obstruction of justice while she's stalking in the path with light activity under the fake sun, and all her co-defendants are going to prison with her when she's gang stalking with the police department that she's referring to when they're using helicopters gang stalking me with her at 5:40 p.m. On May 16, 2025, because that's speaking to the environment where those demons of the Ontario Police, the City of Ontario, the people of the state at Woodside, and the people of the state on her communication device are monitoring me all together. And that's the totality of facts that are going to prosecute somebody that resorts to, and this is what a high school graduate relies on, that lacks intelligence, lacks any sort of ambition in life, and resorts to nothing other than what is sexual activity. And like I stated to her face, and which I will state to the world, you're witnessing me prosecute Satan. Satan is using what is a high school graduate, Tracy Banks, who lacks self-control. That inability to control herself is also what is a threat to the public. While you are gang stalking, when you are already being documented, you're going to be prosecuted for that. When you are gang stalking and you are also not only documented, but you're surrounded with evidence which is reaching to a prosecution beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's not just you, it's the entity that's engaging in all of that which I'm documenting: threats, intimidation tactics, harassment, engaging what is a threat to criminal summoning. That's a whole other level of a threat as well, while you're monitoring with impunity and malice. You're going to federal prison and mental asylums. This is captured at 7:09 a.m. The entity is engaging in that, and these videos are going to be added. This is what this demon is doing. Remember the spiritual component. She's actually a witch, and she's in the spirit, spiritually monitoring and attacking, never sleeping. That's why she has wrinkly bags under her eyes, where she is, again, envious of me, and you're calling me names, and you want to be me. You've been stalking me for years. She's been monitoring my vagina, homosexual, sexually violent conduct, and she is out of her mouth creating audible activity, which is revealing her mental illness, the inability to cope with the reality that you are exposed, that everyone knows that you're not only a pedophile, but you're a gang stalking sex offender, that you're a psychopath, a maniacal one, targeting your own blood relative who is also documenting it and prosecuting it, and you're resorting to what are name calling that doesn't even make sense, because everyone that's witnessing me expose her and prosecute her, I'm doing it through logic and legal reasoning, which requires knowledge of the law. And while she's stating that I'm not a lawyer, and she has never sat through a community college course that even had anything to do with things such as the legal profession whatsoever. And this is why you're not going to be listening to the lies of the devil. The Satan that wants to be you wishes that he could take what it is that you're capable of, wishes that he could switch places with you. And she's not doing any of that. She's going to a mental asylum. And the people of the state that are foolish enough to target me with her, they're going to get justice as well. And it's going to include Daryl J. Carter being prosecuted for harassing me while his employees are gang stalking with this demon and the residents in units 33 through 64. It's going to include Daryl J. Carter, AVANATH Capital Management, paying me damages for the incalculable harm suffered by being subject to gang stalking by the employees and the residents and the people of the state that are on video gang stalking with this demon who's engaging in speech on behalf of the government in her apartment that's filled with engineered light. This is the problems that Daryl J. Carter, while he's gang stalking with a high school graduate that lacks self-control and knowledge, foresight, wisdom, while she is using resorting to nothing other than name calling, which is under no circumstances slowing down a federal prosecution, where she is way out of her league. Way out of her league. And nobody, while she's at the age of 60 something, she no longer has anything that is tempting or persuasive with regard to sexual activity, which is what she's relied on for the majority of her life, as a promiscuous whore, a Jezebel spirit, monitoring me and seeking to recruit those who are of that same demonic spirit in order to target, which is what the state of California is doing. Now that she's saggy and wrinkly and cellulite ridden with multiple chins, this demon is engaging in what are acts of desperation, where she's going to find herself by herself in court and surrounded by facts that are unhelpful and people that are going to turn on her when they find that the facts are damning to them and their lifestyle, their family, and their liberty and their future. That's just the reality of gang stalking and how you're going to prosecute an entity. It is currently 7:12 a.m. The entity is monitoring while I'm capturing video. That's the unlawful acts of obstruction of justice, and it's speaking to what you'll see in the video is what Tracy Banks, a sex offender, is doing when she's opening the door and closing the door at any time of day. Sunlight is never shooting horizontally in the direction north, in through the front door, which is what I'm always documenting while she is monitoring. This is a hostile demon and a third party who is being documented as a matter of conclusive evidence, and is hostile because of that evidence as it's being captured. And in the same way that you will under no circumstances impede upon a federal investigation, you will not interfere with the federal investigation, you will not destroy or steal evidence pursuant to a federal investigation, especially when it pertains to you, but pertaining to anything, you will not do that and avoid the repercussions for that. That's what Tracy Banks is also engaging in while she's documented engaging in what is a threat to engage in criminal summoning. And this is, again, a coward that is fearful of the evidence against her and the police that she's referring to. It would be better if she engaged in what is harassment and just don't mention the Ontario Police Department. But the more that she does, the more that you're understanding what Mike Lorenz and the Ontario Police Department are doing every time that they're flying over this apartment building. And I'm showing you the fake sun, and I'm showing you engineer light at nightfall, monitoring everything inside of this apartment, which, again, Jonathan Burnett on May 4th, 2019, at the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court as well in May of 2019, while the entity is monitoring, and the entity is engaging in what is a fictitious prosecution pursuant to monitoring, and then is engaging in what is the knowledge, this is invasion of privacy, referring to such police departments is the act of obstruction of justice, and it is unlawful and intolerable. And that police department that's engaging in kidnapping is the same one that's going to be disbanded and removed from law enforcement. Jonathan Burnett's going to prison. And these are the repercussions for gang stalking with high school graduates that have no ambitions other than resorting to sexual activity. And when you're over the hill, like Tracy Banks says, it's no longer persuasive or effective. She's merely going to be prosecuted and then exposed as the demon-possessed whore that she is. It is currently 7:14 a.m. on May 21st, 2025. This is not only documentation of gang stalking, it's documentation of the obstruction of justice upon gang stalking. In other words, a demon that's just mad because she's surrounded with evidence and then is resorting to what is name-calling a federal prosecutor and whistleblower, which is myself, and she's mad because she's not smart enough, she's not capable enough, she never thought of it, she cannot switch places using witchcraft in order to be me, and the reality is that she's mad because the facts show that she wants to be me, and she's embarrassed by that reality. She should be ashamed of it, but she is too proud, and that's a demonic spirit. That ego, when you have nothing to be proud about, that delusional mindset, that's the demon. That's Tracy Banks. She's going to a mental asylum. This is P.O.C. Everybody in units 33 through 64, they're also going to federal prison for the audible activity coming out of the mouth of the co-defendant, Tracy Banks, and the people of the state on the communication device. This is pacing, federal stalking. Remember, she's doing the same thing with Daryl Mandy, with Daniel Ackery, with Eric Corey Spencer, with the people of the state that she's on the phone with when she's monitoring. Remember, you're just replacing the names, and her cell phone records are going to be used to prosecute each and every single last one of them. This is the entity that's acting maliciously with somebody that is very highly intelligent, and they should not put their liberty. But they're not innocent. You're gang stalking, and that system is going to implode. Okay, and merely name calling me, you can call me a princess, you can call me whatever you want. It's Satan that's engaging in name calling and engineer light under the fake sun with the state. So this is the P.O.C. at what is 7:15 a.m. This is the entity that is gang stalking. I want to document Eric Corey Spencer is gang stalking on May 16, 2025. She is stating Eric Spencer's name under the fake sun that's present at 7:16 a.m. And this is again the act of the entity that resorts to retaliation. So on this morning, Eric Spencer's on the phone because I identified him by name. This is again the self-destructive behavior. He's under the fake sun at 10:54 a.m. gang stalking with the entity. And this is the also remember the demon that's engaging in what is I'm going to call 911 and is now having the most exciting conversation of her life with Eric Spencer, who I identified, and very rapidly forgets about, these are the multiple personalities, very rapidly forgets about the fact that she was just so perturbed because I'm documenting on my communication device, and she's going to call the police based on that, and then she's forgetting about that and then calling the people of the state that I'm documenting by name. That's why Eric Spencer is going to federal prison. He is engaged in the conspiracy to murder Erica Spencer, his sister, while he is gang stalking her as well. And gang stalking me is the evidence that is relevant to showing the ability to conspire against my life and also profit from it with his co-defendant, his demon-possessed mother, Tracy Banks, while she's pacing and his voice is on speakerphone. She is calling multiple people, monitoring with him, and they're engaged in multiple kidnappings with the Ontario Police Department as well. While they are together, Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks on May 16, 2025 at 10:54, where the Ontario Police are flying over my head while the fake sun is over my head. And that same fake sun that's over me while I'm capturing it outside of this apartment. That's the significance of Eric Spencer being on her cell phone, and she's calling the people of the state a different male. It wasn't Eric Spencer that she initially called, and she's altogether forgotten about calling the police. Don't forget about that. This is the entity that's going to federal prison as a family. Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks, gang stalking as a family. Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks doing the same thing with Tommy Allen Banks. When they know that they've been documented, they engage in what are acts of retaliation, and you're not retaliating against me in any way that's not going to hurt your interests. You're going to federal prison for that, for federal stalking in and of itself, but also for gang stalking and furtherance of murder and kidnapping, which Eric Spencer, Tracy Banks, Tommy Allen Banks have engaged in with the Ontario Police Department that she was this morning, moments ago, threatening to call. Immediately forgetting about that, running inside of the apartment, stating Eric's name loud enough so it can be heard. That's, again, not hurting my feelings. Eric and Tracy are going to be subject to confinement for conspiring with the state that she is targeting, monitoring with, and doing so with impunity. That's what's exhibited when you're stating Eric Spencer's name. Eric Spencer is being prosecuted. Every time I state his name, he's being prosecuted. And this is, again, to his own demise while the entity is targeting as one. It is currently 7:18 a.m. Bye. That's the entity that's engaging in what is now laughter. So you're going to refer to the documentation when the entity is engaging in what is harassment on video, bothered by walking outside, capturing the beautiful sunset, the sunrise over this apartment where it's setting, where the entity is hostile to doing the exact same thing that the gang stalker on the phone is doing, Eric Spencer, who was on the phone as I document him by name. And the entity is immediately changing personalities, going to, oh, this is so funny. This is the most exciting phone call. You're going through all the different personalities that the demon is revolving through as I'm documenting her. Going from calling the police to calling the people of the state to calling calling or being called by. The entity is monitoring everything that I'm stating, every word that I state. So you're vacillating through personalities. These are demons. That's speaking to the mental illness of the psychopath that's gang stalking together. And it's relevant to what is documented on April 7, 2025, April 14, 2025, when you're listening to the multiple personalities that are at play. These are demons that Tracy Banks has all inside of her. This is a demon-possessed person, and who is gang stalking with also Eric Spencer, who's on the phone. You're going to prison for being on her cell phone. This is how conclusive the evidence is. It's federal stalking. But not only that, the substance of the conversation, the timing of being on the phone, relevant to surveillance about everything that I'm doing and stating. Who it is that I name is then on the phone, or is then on the same day, not coincidentally, on the phone with her while she's in engineer light. While Eric Spencer is on speakerphone, those are the elements of monitoring. And that's a rapid personality adjustment from being hostile and referring to the police, by the way. Okay, it's 7:20 a.m. The reason why I'm pointing this out is because this is the entity that's going to be diagnosed and also prosecuted. And it's not changing the threat. The demon can change personalities all the way. It's not changing the threat. It's not changing what's on the record. This is why you document the fake sun. This is why you document my shadow appearing on this living room wall behind me in the dark. This is why you document the engineer light that's framing the front door. 12 hours from now, it's still around the same front door. This is why you document the police gang stalking with her, with the demons on the phone, on day and night in that specific room. This is why you document. Because you're dealing with the demon possessed who rapidly vacillate their personality based on what's being exposed about them. Those are demons. Those are delusional psychopaths who switch personalities like they switch their underwear very rapidly. Okay. The entity is engaged in what is very demented, and she's also going to be prosecuted for that. It's speaking to the ability to conspire against another, that is myself, and then lie about it. And then lie on the people that she's conspiring against me with. And then lie with the police that she's gang stalking me with. Conspire against me and lie in courts, bear false witness, conspire with the people of the state, including her son, Eric Sport. This is speaking to the ability to engage in all that when you are witnessing multiple personalities, when you're witnessing a rapid personality adjustment based on what it is that I document, based on the moment that I document it, while all of it is speaking to the P.O.C. remaining underway. The entity is going to fall apart in federal court. Because I guarantee you, Eric Spencer doesn't want to go to federal prison until he's about her age, 65. The entity that is gang stalking me together is the entity that's going to break apart in federal court. And the entity is doing so to its own demise while I'm documenting in real time. The case is not being made in the building. That's the formality. They've already been prosecuted. So in other words, you should watch your mouth before I'm documenting. You should watch your mouth before there's a body of evidence already published on the internet where the federal government is already aware of what you are, what you're doing, and how you're doing it. And they also know that you're a demon stalking in the spirit monitoring. They know all of that while you go through different personalities. And now I'm referring to the demons themselves that are focused on me and every word that I state while they help this demon, Tracy Bank, adjust her attitude. That's what Eric Spencer is doing. He's going to federal prison. It is currently 7:22 a.m. It's May 21st, 2025. This is P.O.C. Like I stated before, but I had to get the evidence while it's capturing. While I'm closing, Eric Spencer's voice is heard. She's referring to him. This is monitoring. You're mindful of all the facts when they're engaging in nothing other than monitoring, and it's all centered on me. Everything that I say and everything that I do, including as I document, and you have this inexplicable hostility while I'm merely capturing the weather. Okay, the entity is engaging in what is knowledge of being captured with evidence, very damning evidence. And under the same circumstances where another relative of hers engages in it, it's not a problem. And it's also not a problem while I'm referring to the weather. It's a problem because I'm documenting gang stalking by demons who are very malicious co-conspirators to murder. And she's also going to prison for that. All right, it is currently 7:23 a.m. This is P.O.C. on May 21st, 2025, inside of the same apartment where this fake sun is going to remain until the end of the day. And while she walks away and that fake sun remains over me, it is conclusive evidence she is not the target individual. She is a demon. She's a gang stalker, and she's a malicious one conspiring to murder her own daughter and also engaging in what is the oppressive system of gang stalking and then trying to use that evidence as though I am anything less than an accomplished legal professional, regardless of not paying fees to the state that's gang stalking me. I refuse to do so, but it's literally financially preclusive when the entity is gang stalking you on the job, and then that demon is stating, "Oh, well, you're in my house, and I'm some sort of bum." This is a bum that's gang stalking as a way of life of survival, a petty thief, a common criminal. This is the absurdity of the demons, the life flunkies, the high school graduates, but it's all being put in proper perspective. Satan can't insult me when you're stalking me, Satan. And you're stalking, monitoring my vagina in the bathroom. That's how pathetic and perverted you are, and that's the truth that you can't bear to hear. Okay, and screaming out insults doesn't make it less true. It just makes you delusional. In fact, I can deal with facts. That's what I deal in. And I also create rules to deal with psychopaths like the ones you hear monitoring me in the background, including via communication devices at 7:21 a.m. on May 21st, 2025. This is a very busy demon, and she's going to be prosecuted, and the people of the state are going to be prosecuted with her because unfortunately, but it's provident, but unfortunately for the defendants, when you are gang stalking as an entity, what you say as an entity. What you commit as an entity. And they are reminded of the evidence while she's running her mouth. It is currently 7:24 a.m. This is P.O.C. Okay, monitoring with Eric Spencer and Tracy Banks, license 46046F1. That's RGS. They're underneath a carport. That's in possible light underneath, under the shade. We're in operation of communication device. This is documenting monitoring with the community, the people of the state under the fake sun, driving out of the parking lot. That's activity creation. RGS gang stalk with engineer light, swiping across Tracy Banks' kitchen cabinets in the middle of the afternoon while the fake sun is still here. RGS gang stalking with regard to a already pre-identified third party, doing so in the middle of the afternoon, like I'm documenting the other heavyweight Latino male with the black t-shirt, just using RGS as the brand, the mask where the entity is engaging in surveillance. That's it. And RGS is going to be prosecuted. Gang stalking with Tracy Banks, who walks outside under the fake sun that doesn't remain over her. Remember, not only documentation for her gang stalking, but documentation for the fraud that she's engaged in. She's not me. She's not the target individual. She's a witch. She's a demon. And these are demons that are engaging in monitoring, stalking a woman. They're surrounded by engineer light. Engineer light's on the Camry. Engineer light's on the brick wall underneath the carport. Engineer light, that stream of light is underneath. They're monitoring me. And gang stalking with Eric Spencer on the communication device. They're stalking a woman. They're doing so in the name of AVANATH Capital Management. Dale J. Carter's civil and criminal issues are going to be long existing in RGS as well. This little mom and pop company that's headquartered in Anaheim, they're going to be prosecuted. These third parties are engaged in documentation, gang stalking with the fire department in the middle of the afternoon, as I'm documenting at 12:42 p.m. criminal summoning. They're engaged in gang stalking, terrorism via impossible light activity, terrorism via amplified audible activity, while they're pacing around under a fake sun that remains over me, while they are gang stalking at Woodside Senior Apartments under a fake. Those that are gang stalking with Tracy Banks, that are immigrants, are going to be deported. RGS is engaging in what is using nothing other than that brand. Any gang stalking police officer, put on an RGS t-shirt, get into the RGS truck, and come onto the grounds engaging the P.O.C. This is how easy the entity is engaging in the P.O.C. under the brands that I've documented. The African-American female was gang stalking. You can see my shadow appearing in the shade. They're demons and they're monitoring. Tracy Banks is sitting in her car monitoring. The entity is engaging what is threats to engage in criminal summoning while they're monitoring. You see my shadow appearing on the wall of apartment number 70. They're monitoring. They're stalking in the past, and they are monitoring my vagina. This is the sex offense. When your shadow's appearing in the shade, let me show you what's behind me. This is all shade. Here's my shadow. Demons, stalkers, and so is Tracy Banks with people that I don't even know and people that I do know, which is what the people that stayed on her phone, Eric Spencer, are sharing in. When she's resorting to threatening to engage in criminal summoning while my shadow of my hand is appearing at a distance away from, that's impossible light activity. That's also occurring in Tracy Banks's apartment, where demons, males and females of all races, like the dark black female in the Altima this morning, gang stalking like RGS, another vehicle stalking in the path, creating light activity as you're seeing it here, while they walk around in it, pacing around, engaging in surveillance all day long. That's P.O.C, light activity. P.O.C. License 9HUZ740. Pay attention to the fake sun that stays still. And this is obstruction of justice when she's monitoring with the entity. That's the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 7:32 a.m. That's audible activity, while RGS is gang stalking. Everything that she's stating is audible activity shared by RGS. Now, me being outside and being on the phone is exactly what Eric Spencer does. She's focused on me because I'm documenting the P.O.C. while my shadow is appearing in the shade. This is obstruction of justice while she is being documented, and she's engaging in a sex offense with the people of the state. RGS is going to be prosecuted for obstruction, for harassment, for psychological torture. This is a sex offense as well, and she's focused on me while she's in her car at the opposite end of the parking lot, and what she knows the significance of what I'm documenting, while the fake sun is no explanation for this light activity. This is obstruction while she is being and the people of the state are being documented. Everything she stated on that podcast that I documented is going to be used against all the demons going to prison. Remember, at what is 3 in the afternoon, the fake sun is right over me, while the demon that was going into unit 70 and the fake sun is over my head. This is where the fake sun is, right here. So it is currently 7 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1 to 8 hours later, this is where the demons are stalking together, pacing, school bus and third party Tracy Banks, focused on me while she's monitoring with demons. License 46046F1. I'm going to prosecute the company. I'm going to prosecute the company's employees. I'm going to prosecute them for obstruction. They engage in what is threatening to call the police when you're violating no law because they're monitoring. P.O.C. That's the entity stalking under the fake sun. The fake sun, as she drives away, she's a demon. And so are the people of the state and everybody in this building, while the federal government is witnessing me expose how gang stalking is underway by a people who are all focused on me. And that hostility by Tracy Banks, remember, she's under the fake sun, where YouTube is interfering with the federal investigation, stating that climate control is the reason why the fake sun is still here, while Tracy Banks is documented engaging in obstruction of justice in the middle of the afternoon, where climate control has nothing to do with the sun sitting over one building all day long. YouTube is a third party interfering with the federal investigation, and I will prosecute every means of seeking to obstruct justice, including spreading misinformation and propaganda, where the demons are engaging in surveillance in California and on the venue of the internet. All right, threatening my life and my liberty, while threatening to call the police when the police are gang stalking in this specific environment. That's the comprehensive pattern of conduct. It's currently 7:34 a.m. That's P.O.C. All right, the video that you just listened to is video that's following Tracy Banks' departure from the apartment, which is her maintaining engagement in the criminal system. The entity that is targeting as an entity is one that's not going to be removed from that documentation, speaking to federal prison and mental asylum, and ceaseless engagement in the P.O.C, where the entity is engaging in what is a targeting system as one, meaning the elements of monitoring are being maintained, including while you're outside of that apartment and you remain a part of that ongoing criminal conspiracy. They're also engaged in surveillance via communication devices, massive and comprehensive surveillance. And Tracy Banks, in the departure of the apartment, is also shown as somebody who was not the targeted individual, and her fraudulent means of seeking to act like she is me, misrepresent her identity as though she is Erica Spencer. That's me, and she is not. She is Tracy Banks, very clearly not me as well. I don't look anything like a 50. I don't even look like a 40-year-old. Okay, I don't look like a 40, 50, or 60-year-old woman. She looks beyond her age. She's not the same height. She doesn't even carry herself, speak like me. She's very, I'll say, undignified, she's, as you respond to the vernacular, this is accurate. She's very much for the streets. And she is somebody that is engaged in criminal conduct, egregious criminal conduct, which is also obvious in its character. And she is resorting to what is nothing other than a bullying tactic, trying to harass and name call. I don't care about name calling. I'm going to legally analyze that. That's a stalker that's resorting to harassment tactics. Also by referring to the stalkers who are the police department, when you are also not violating the law, and you're merely resorting to that because you're hostile and you're fearful. This is a demon that's scared, but demons don't engage in what is logical behavior, such as maybe you should stop doing what you're doing because you're scared that you're going to get in trouble. No. The demon possessed who are psychopathic, they resort to more acts of violence. They resort to more threatening conduct. They resort to more aggression, even out of fear. Now, I am providing that insight, but you're going to prosecute for that. You are analyzing the stalker and the unlawful threat posed by the stalker, and the stalker is an entity speaking through Tracy Banks and acting with Tracy Banks as an entity. And in her departure of the apartment, you're witnessing what is the evidence that she is not the targeted individual. She is not targeted under any circumstances, and she has been also maliciously misrepresenting her status with regard to the pattern of conduct as I've exposed it. She is in fact a demon. When you're looking at the fake sun that remains over me, even in the parking lot when she's reversing coming toward me, that fake sun isn't over her, that's coming toward me. That fake sun is in alignment with me and advancing over the building, where, by the way, I will remind you about what the Ontario Police Department is doing at 10:54 in the morning, where the fake sun's in the same position it is over the top of her apartment, where I'm documenting it at 7:34 a.m. That's where it is over 7, 8, 9, 10, over 3.5 hours later at 10:54 a.m. That's impossible, but it's also showing Tracy Banks' position, and also RGS, who are gang stalking with Tracy Banks, who's supposed to be the bully that gets me back in the house, the bully that scares me out of documenting, the bully that gets me to shut up. This demon isn't stopping anything. This demon is accelerating her and everyone else's demise. This demon is making it worse for herself and everyone else. When you are prosecuting a corrupt entity that's trying to murder and kidnap and defame your character in doing so. The absurdity of what this high school graduate sought to accomplish with a bunch of demons who together collectively could not think of one aspect of the P.O.C. that is surrounding them with regard to the insurmountable and irreconcilable evidence proving that they are demon-possessed gang stalkers. That is what is going to a mental asylum bearing license 9HUZ740, reversing toward me in the parking lot while the fake sun is in the same position it is at 10:54 a.m. And I'm also reminding you in that video where it's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where the demon in unit number 70 is crossing path as I open the front door, and he's driving his vehicle, parking in a spot as a quote-unquote new vehicle, not documented before, and also then exercising control over the apartment that he accesses with his key inside of unit 70. And that fake sun is in its zenith over the top of my head as I'm standing in front of unit 70. That's what's relevant with regard to Tracy Banks at 7:34 with RGS. And remember the tactic of the entity. Gang stalking is gang stalking, period. I'm documenting the people of the state who will be civilly prosecuted for the commercial means of gang stalking, which is a high threat posed by the people of the state. It's malice. But also the entity is resorting to RGS after they've completed their landscaping purposes. The entity is gang stalking for any purpose. They're just being there under the guise of wearing RGS uniforms and bearing RGS logos, which is again not limiting the prosecution to RGS. The demons are always resorting on what it is that I've exposed about them, and so since I've already documented RGS, then we'll just use RGS again in order to maintain presence in the path. And then they can do whatever. They can water the grass all day, they can paint the brick walls, they can pull up grass and then put it back together, they can do whatever. They're engaging in the surveillance system, and the entity is using I'm letting you know how these demons are. Everything that I am doing and what I exposed while my documentation is under surveillance, that is what is informing the ways in which they're engaging in the P.O.C. That's also relevant to prosecuting commercial actors, since you like to resort in those sort of tactics, and doing so showing your ongoing obsession and determination to continuously do so. This is why you are, again, creating policies whereby companies are not going to be permitted to continue to exist. You don't have a constitutional right to maintain a business for facilitation and furtherance of murder and kidnapping. In doing so, while you know that you've been documented, and so you're going to resort to using that company again because that is the pre-existing evidence that's in conformity to how the pattern of conduct is executed at that particular venue. And the entity's logic, the rationale behind that is that, well, since RGS has already been named, we'll continuously use RGS. That's the rationale behind that. The entity, like I said, is fully capable of engaging. This is how RGS is both documented as a third party, but it's also irrelevant with regard to the malice behind the purposes of gang stalking amongst the people. Gang stalking police officers, gang stalking federal agents, putting on RGS uniforms, getting into RGS vehicles, engaging in surveilling me all day long. The same exact pattern of conduct when you are looking merely at the surface. This is why you are not merely going to prosecute RGS, you're going to prosecute for the malice and the ongoing unlawful documentation regarding obsession. The government should not and shall not be monitoring. And their obsession, the fact that they're demons that are monitoring, is shown through engaging in such tactics. You're going to that extent to monitor me. Why are you so obsessed with my vagina? You've never had sex with me. I've never even had a conversation with you, and there is no imagining or hallucinating regarding anything. They are indeed monitoring. They are indeed obsessed with monitoring me. And why is that? That's getting to the mental health that you will be diagnosing. The demons who are psychopathic and obsessively monitoring, stalking, and doing so. Using a commercial brand is just getting to the malice and getting to the mental illness. It's not preventing under any circumstances the same gang stalking state actors putting on masks, hiding amongst the people of the state and engaging in that. And that's just an example of how the way the entity engages in it. And you're going to prosecute third parties like RGS for that. That's the whole purpose of gang stalking amongst the civilian population. But you're not going to, in your mind, think and limit the entity to, oh, it is literally RGS employees all the time. No, that's not necessarily required whatsoever. And regardless of how the entity is engaging in it, it is the elements of monitoring, period, where the sun is in the same position that it's going to be over 3 hours from now, over Tracy Banks' front door, like it is while she is coming near me, where the fake sun's over me, where she drives away and that fake sun remains over me. She is not the targeted individual. She has never been targeted by the state. She's never been targeted by me. She is, first of all, a demon She is a malicious psychopath, is how you understand the significance of that spiritual condition. She's engaged in what is gang stalking me through the demonic pattern of conduct in concert with the demon-possessed population, and resorting to identifying the demons of the Ontario police is nothing other than a highly unintelligent and malicious iteration of seeking to obstruct justice. That police department that's on video stalking me and terrorizing me and psychologically torturing me at 10:54, where the fake sun is remaining over me at that same position where she's at in the parking lot at 7:34. It's still over the apartment building at 5:40 p.m. on May 16, 2025. That police department gang stalking by helicopter, gang stalking me with her and the entity, RGS, and the entity at Woodside at 5:40 p.m. That's why you go to prison, and that's why you're disbanding. That's why you are removing such corrupt actors such as the city of Ontario, because that is what is this false sense of ability to continuously engage in domestic terrorism. And the Lord God has said no more. It's only defiant demons. Just because they're defiant, just because they are stubborn with regard to what is no longer acceptable, what is no longer going to be permitted, what is no longer going to be maintained as a secret, it's not changing the fact that it is no longer permitted and that you are suffering inevitable consequences. These are demons. Understand that their nature is to be uncooperative with regard to what is no longer permitted for them to get away with and secretly get away with, and also blame other people for what they're engaging in. That's the whole purpose of criminal defamation. This is just speaking to judgment. With regard to in the natural, this is a physical judgment when they're going to be prosecuted and you're not getting away with it, and you are surrounded with facts while you name the police department that's in enough trouble can go without you identifying them. Mike Lorenz is done with law enforcement, but you already know that when he is gang stalking me as the police fly over my head in helicopter, conclusive evidence of terrorism and psychological torture, which is not the legitimate practice of law enforcement by a police department in that specific environment, while they also have the audacity to do so because they know that they're being documented, that the people of the state are being documented under the fake sun, because they're engaged in a conceded act of federal stalking, because there's no coincidences there. That's the police department, and everyone that's done with law enforcement a part of that police department. That's the Ontario Police. That, again, high school graduates, they lack the ability and the wherewithal to know when they should be quiet and when they should speak. And at this juncture, they should not speak at all. But again, I'm not giving out legal advice. I'm I'm prosecuting pursuant to laws and the operation of laws, and how laws are going to, the existing laws work against criminal conduct that people in this country didn't know was happening, and that the government sought to engage in to the demise of the targeted individual in a manner that is in ways in which it's in plain sight, but it is occurring in ways in which defies what a court is willing to accept, and that's because the court's engaging in it. It's criminal conduct that is malicious, it's unprecedented, it's occurring and executed in ways that have never been heard of, such as stalking under a fake sun, as you are able to prove that, stalking with engineered light, as you can see my shadow manifesting in the shade, as you are looking at demons that are stalking while light is surrounding the surfaces around them, and you're identifying stalkers in an environment that is supernatural. This is how you're identifying stalking that's committed as an entity through businesses, through municipalities, through police departments, and the population itself. This is the entity that's engaging in stalking and monitoring, targeting in ways in which that it never anticipated would be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. This is both judgment by the Lord God himself, who is also permitting and providing for judgment in the physical in a court, a federal court, by the way. And everything that they say, and they are speaking while this high school graduate, Tracy Banks, is engaging in harassment inside of her apartment, which is nothing other than a very easy and automatic means of a prosecution. Not any protection or ability to engage in monitoring with the government. You don't have a right to do that in your apartment. I'm going to prosecute you in your apartment. Okay, and you are under no circumstances anything other than a gang stalker who's been stalking both a licensed attorney, and then as I'm going into property management, I still maintain what is the legal skill set to prosecute you, a maniacal psychopath, when you resort to name calling while you're stalking me, envious of the amount of money that I am making and capable of making, when you stopped at high school and being a whore for the streets, and you're envious of me, and that's a basis of trying to name call. What is the substance of your name calling in the first place? Well, I'm prosecuting. It's all criminal defamation. But the substance, I just want to get to what the demon is getting at. Somebody that is envious of me, who is stalking me, who is monitoring and listening obsessively to every syllable that I'm uttering right now, while this demon, who is over 60, shredding paper as a way of providing for, and this is again under the guise of providing, this demon was counting on my death and cashing in an insurance policy, stealing my intellectual property, faking to be some sort of prophet who was bringing forth the evidence which is within the P.O.C. while she was going to alter that message and provide some lying satanic message that has nothing to do with what the Lord Jesus has revealed through the specific environment and the targeting conduct by the government. This is what this demon Tracy Banks is doing right now, and what she sought to do in doing so through gang stalking me. None of that is going to happen, and the fact that she is a demon and a witch that tried to misrepresent herself as both a prophet and a targeted individual is also relevant to her mental illness. And the entity that is gang stalking with the likes of that wants to be me, is so obsessed with me, is the one that's resorting to name calling. And while I am under no circumstances any sort of person that should be in this circumstance, financially speaking, because I went to college, I went to law school, I took the bar exam, I'm totally a competent professional, the entity's been gang stalking me on the job, and this is what is resorting in this. She is speaking to it, admitting to damages that the government is responsible for, not any sort of denigrating factual information about my inability to take care of myself while I am in her apartment documenting her for gang stalking, like she's been doing as a matter of evidence since 2018 with the Upland Police Department, by the way, in the specific environment. She is referring to damages that I'm entitled to, not any sort of factual information that's relevant to what is a person's inability to provide for themselves. The documentation that I am creating in real time while a demon resorts to name calling and tactics of defamation, which is, again, Satan can't insult me. You're stalking me, Satan. You want to be me, Satan. You try to get away with acting like you are me. And even as I document you driving away and the fake sun remains over me. That's a clear distinction between who's the demon and who's the targeted person by that demon. You're targeting me. That's Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740. And this psychopath is a sex offender, spiritually monitoring 24 hours a day. And like I said before, that's the reason for the wrinkly bags under her eyes. Aside from the fact that she's over 60 years old, her soul is tired and her body is tired. She's going to rest in a mental asylum for the rest of her life, where she's going to expire. It's currently 7:51 a.m. The entity, speaking very foolishly, engages and exposes the entity that you're not forgetful about. Eric Spencer, who calls on the phone, and he should have got his mother, his gang stalking mother, together before she opened her face. Those demons lack self-control. Those demons lack forethought, and they are nothing other than what are desperate, and they are also maniacal with regard to ongoing relentless endeavors, but they are feckless and futile, meaning they're not successful. But the demon possessed, that's a national security threat. They will continuously try. That's a national security threat, meaning you'll keep stalking with the police department. You'll keep stalking in helicopters and airplanes. You'll keep stalking as a civilian population, even when everyone, and it's very important that everyone sees what the demon possessed are doing. These are the walking dead. These are the zombies that fill this country, who are targeting, monitoring American citizens. And it's a government program. It's not a scary movie. It's real life. It is gang stalking. It is federal group stalking and monitoring. It's pursuant to surveillance that's underway, because the fake sun that's over Tracy Banks' apartment building that she's driving away from while I remain subject to this P.O.C., which is identified in the specific environment, that's letting you know that you are subject to that same system of surveillance, which is identified in an environment that defies nature, because there's only one sun in the natural environment. But there is requiring more than one sun when you are in Boston and you're looking at the sun above you in the sky space, where the elderly are stalking with amplified noise. That elderly population is going to be both diagnosed and also prosecuted and put in the appropriate federal facilities. And inside of this building, where the demons are under that fake sun and documented, again, engaging in criminal defamation, harassment, psychological torture tactics, and literally monitoring in plain view using the overweight, cellulite-ridden black female in the Altima, stalking in the path under that fake sun with police, whom they are together engaging in what is gang stalking through organizing under themes and policies that they don't care about, such as Black Lives Matter. That's what that's relevant to. That black woman gang stalking me under the fake sun with the Ontario police. The fact that California doesn't care anything about Black Lives Matter. That's what that's relevant to. The entity is gang stalking with amplified noise, stalking with light, stalking under the fake sun through the malicious guise of companies such as AVANATH, i.e. the prosecution of Deirdre Carter, this corrupt CEO and chairman, over a gang stalking company that's profiting from domestic terrorism and psychological torture, stalking a woman at a HUD-regulated property through its employees and the residents with the entity, and also doing so with corrupt companies that it has a malicious guise of conducting business with when they're gang stalking together. RGS and AVANATH are gang stalking together. RGS's employees, and the name of RGS is used to engage in domestic terrorism and psychological torture, while literally those people that are wearing those uniforms are going to be subject to a prosecution. That's breaking down all of the layers relevant to prosecuting domestic terrorism in the U.S. When the entity seeks to make money while they're gang stalking, the entity seeks to the entity is engaging in public corruption while it's gang stalking. The people of the state are bearing logos, wearing uniforms, living at the facilitating venue, engage in what is the exercise of fictitious authority at the facilitating venue while they engage in criminal summoning. There's no legitimate emergency when the entity is engaging in surveillance. It's all centered around the targeted individual. And that's when you're getting to why Michael Gherkin needs to be relieved of his duties as the fire chief. You're literally engaging in what is the use of fire trucks, a whole fire department, of the purposes of putting out fires, and it's centered around a surveillance system. That's sick, and it's so sick you're understanding the lengths to which the demon-possessed go to maintain a system of surveillance in a highly malicious manner through the government. In the city of Ontario, Michael Gherkin is done with being a fire chief, engaging in no mentally ill psychopath has any business in the risking the lives of American citizens and your properties, where they essentially engage in what are lighting fires in order to keep a job. This is what the demon-possessed are doing in Ontario. They manufacture emergencies. They engage in sounding their sirens for no reason whatsoever, as I engage in documentation, and that's just one aspect of the city of Ontario. Like, I could analyze this on and on and on. I've already documented the entity, and by the way, every aspect of the city of Ontario in particular. Every aspect. The gang stalking fire department, the gang stalking police department, the gang stalking city of Ontario at the city hall. It's already on the record. The gang stalking airport in the city of Ontario. Like, every aspect. In addition to the entity, as you're understanding how public corruption upon what is federal group stalking and monitoring, how it operates, what it looks like, and how you're easily engaging in that. Anybody could put on RGS uniforms, get in an RGS vehicle, especially when they are monitoring my evidence, and that's relevant to the malice. And that's also why you go to prison when you engage in what is systematically gang stalking at the facilitating venue. Jose and Sons, Smart Janitorial, Universal Waste, Speaker Company's employees, Carla Lopez, Maria Solis Alvarez, Selena Robledo, Kimberly Fletcher, Don Noggle, the entity that is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct as I'm both an employee and a resident at Alvarado Gardens, where the fake sun was rising and setting, and the LAPD, those diaper-wearing demons, never sleeping, never ceasing to engage in what is targeting terrorism, surveillance using helicopters, flying and gang stalking me in helicopters in my apartment at Alvarado Gardens and in my office, where the entity kept the fake sun, where I'm showing you things such as my shadow manifesting, multiple shadows manifesting in the shade, which is what is happening inside of Tracy Banks's apartment, and outside, where the people of the state are gang stalking me outside, where I am surrounded with the pattern of conduct by the demons in that specific environment as well. This is why you're prosecuting in the ways in which I have outlined, so you are aware of the truth of everything that I've stated, and no demon such as Tracy Banks that wants to feign being a prophet when she is a witch, stalking and monitoring me in the spirit and gang stalking me in relevant position and wanting to steal the message, which you cannot steal, and the Lord God is never going to permit that. You will be embarrassed and humiliated in front of everyone in the world, and also prosecuted in a federal court. And then diagnosed as well, because that is a very deranged mind that would target their own child, and also then seek to try to defame the character of the person that you're stalking, when everything about their criminal conduct is showing severe mental instability. I mean, severe, very severe. Somebody that's capable, by the way, of conspiring to murder me with other people and conspiring to profit from my demise with other people. That's also relevant. It is currently 7:58 a.m. on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025, and as the evidence shows, the P.O.C. continues. The P.O.C. is happening on the venue of the internet. The P.O.C. is happening at Woodside, where I remain. It's P.O.C. headquarters at the specific environment, and the P.O.C. is happening where the entity is monitoring the evidence of itself, and it's going to be the prosecution of the government. This is P.O.C. All right, this is documentation capturing the obsessive stalking methods of an entity that is also stalking someone that is very diligently documenting their stalking tactics. And this is stalking pursuant to what is monitoring, which is demonic. So I'm documenting stalkers who are demon possessed, who are criminally monitoring, which is all government action. It's all government conduct that is done in concert with the population of demons as they're in a specific environment. They're in the demonic environment. They're engaging in behavioral patterns that are demonic. And this behavioral pattern is shared as the entity is acting with regard to obsessively stalking, even in the video documentation, even while the podcast documentation is being captured, which is evidence relevant to the demented mind state. This is why the evidence of gang stalking is also it's unprecedented, because their criminal conduct is relevant to diagnosing their mental illnesses while they're stalking someone that is myself as a whole population. The African American female is documented in the video with the caption 2025-0521. That's May 21st, 2025, and underscore 063317. It's captured starting at 6:33 a.m. The video ends at 6:40 a.m. And at what is 5 minutes and 24 seconds, you are going to see the pattern of conduct of stalking with light in my path, where stalkers are, when you're imagining the game of basketball in your mind's eye, you're understanding when you have the ball and the objective of the offensive team is to block your path, stop you from getting to the basket to make a successful shot. Okay, what the demon possessed are doing, they are making sure they are always blocking your path, and the objective is to do so in this specific environment, which is maintained, which is showing that they're all stalking, and that while they're all stalking you, they're engaging in a behavior of maintaining methods of light activity. This is accomplished by walking in the engineered light under the fake sun, walking in the engineered light at lightfall. They're doing so while they are driving, while they are on Vine Avenue driving, while they are on Vine Avenue at 717 North Vine Avenue in that house, backing out of their driveway. They are driving in the path with their reverse light, stalking in the path with light. These are all the different methods of engaging in the same exact pattern of blocking my path with a person or people while they are creating light activity. The demon in the video, this is an African American female. She has a tattoo, it appears. She has a tattoo on what would be her left upper thigh above her dark kneecaps, her black kneecaps. She's wearing shorts, and she's black spandex shorts, and she's wearing what is a tank top, and it has the same military pattern. She's documented gang stalking in the path in this video while the fake sun is at 6:33 a.m. Again, reflecting off of the buildings of units 33 through 48, where the fake sun is over me, adjacent to the stalkers in units 33 through 48. The fake sun reflecting off of the building, the fake sun remaining over the building, the fake sun being adjacent to the building, is stalking under the fake sun that does not move. I am standing at the parking lot edge where my shadow was appearing in the shade. This is all manners of identifying a stalker and a demon-possessed one, and race is understanding how irrelevant it is. But you are understanding the significance of a surveillance state where the demon-possessed that speak out things about Black Lives Matter, where you're gang stalking with law enforcement and speaking about while the pattern of conduct is underway, and you are gang stalking a black woman. You're gang stalking a black woman with corrupt law enforcement agencies while you are of that black race as well. This is speaking to all of the ways in which the entity exploits what are topics that do affect African American people in this country. It's just that in California, black people are demons who are monitoring, including via reciting popular choruses such as Black Lives Matter when they're under the fake sun, gang stalking a black woman like myself, and doing so also amongst the black people against a black person like myself. This is what is all of this is relevant when I'm getting to the malice of an entity that's gang stalking. And this, in other words, this African American female, she's driving the Altima with license 6GRJ178. She stops her Altima. She's engaging in what is blocking my path. This is an obsessed, demon-possessed stalker, and her identity is proven through the environment that is also supernatural, and it's also supernatural while she is, albeit through the disguise, it's a mask. The mask of meaning I'm present with my hazard lights on because I'm temporarily leaving my vehicle as I pull out something out of my trunk, which is the explanation for why I'm here. And I am walking to and from an apartment where I'm making a delivery. And this is the same mask that the demon possessed are using at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at all hours of the day while the fake sun is sitting over the same apartment building. And they are engaging in what is supernatural, the behavioral pattern of stalking in a malicious manner under the fake sun and using a method of light activity. The same thing that this demon bearing license 6GRJ178, a black woman who is demon possessed by virtue of her facilitating behavior, which is not an accident or a coincidence where the fake sun is sitting over me for 12 hours. It's the evidence so that you are understanding the truth about what I'm speaking regarding the spiritual condition of those who are engaging in the criminal activity of gang stalking with a government and state action, while license 6GRJ178 is engaging what is flashing of light and engineered light. Remember, my shadow was also appearing in the shade at what is 5 minutes and 24 seconds while this demon-possessed African-American woman is stalking me and engaging in what is the sex offenses I also documented, because you're not refraining from being a part of the entity when you drive off. This is nothing other than one demon that drove up under the guise of making a delivery, is stalking in the path with light activity and the engineered light under the fake sun with specific knowledge about what I'm doing as I'm doing it in order to maintain that intentional and deliberate presence and activity creation. Presence meaning blocking me. This is somebody that is very much interested in what is making sure that I am covered in front of me, and doing so, which is what Tracy Banks is doing while she's popping her head in and out of the front door, and I'm capturing the fake sun. And then she is engaging in what is an ongoing, that demon begins manifesting. The demon is also manifesting when she is trying to control herself and request that I go back in the house when what I'm doing as a grown woman on my phone, which is what Eric Spencer will be doing, the same thing on his phone, and it wouldn't be cause for concern. And it's not because Eric Spencer isn't mentally sick like her. It's because Tracy Banks is mentally sick and is engaged in the ongoing criminally defamatory narrative that I must be doing something that's abnormal or something that's weird when I'm capturing the circumstances surrounding her criminal activity of gang stalking me inside of her apartment. And this demon that's gang stalking with Tracy Banks, it's very much specific. Tracy Banks and all the rest of the entity, but specifically, they don't have to talk to each other for you to understand their co-conspiracy regarding gang stalking me together, where that specific environment and that behavioral pattern of getting in my path with a method of flashing light. They're doing the same thing at 5:40 p.m. In fact, Tracy Banks is doing the same thing at 5:40 p.m., where the fake sun is over the same apartment building as it is at 6:33 in the morning, where the demon with license 6GRJ178 has her hazards lights on in the parking lot, where she is pacing, walking on the sidewalk and back to her vehicle in order to maintain presence, light activity creation, blocking my path as I'm in that position at that parking lot, sidewalk edge, in other words. And she's doing her job as an entity stalking me, and doing so in a manner that, again, the demon possessed are convinced is supposed to appear as having nothing to do with the target individual. But you're understanding and recognizing the shared pattern of conduct amongst a group of strangers who share presence in a supernatural environment, where you're understanding how they are malicious psychopaths who have conspired against one person and failing to appear as what they wanted to appear as. They're all engaging in minding their business, but you're understanding what is their shared engagement in that conspiracy to target, criminally defame, and kidnap. When they're in that environment, number one is establishing that conspiracy. And when they're engaging in the pattern of conduct of creating light activity in that supernatural environment, that's the evidence of establishing that conspiracy. And they're also doing so pursuant to a pattern of conduct that's documented not just at Woodside, but everywhere that I'm going, including in Los Angeles, where the entity had a fake sun rising and setting in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens specific, not anywhere in Los Angeles, over me at Alvarado Gardens in Los Angeles, which is never going to create a sunrise and a sunset, and the duration of the day, the maintenance of the sun over me at Woodside. That's how you know that this African-American woman, licensed 6GRJ178, is stalking me in particular, and doing so through the providence of the gang stalking entity, having groceries in hand. She could be carrying a newborn baby. She could be driving a fire truck with AMR
in an ambulance, and representing Michael Gherkin's gang stalking fired police department of Ontario, while they are engaging in the same pattern of conduct, by the way, under the fake sun, and they are monitoring using light activity. This is what this demon, this African American woman who represents how the people of the state in California do not care anything about Black Lives Matter. By the way, the fact that they engaged in what is purchasing a lot of mansions with monies that were gathered ostensibly in furtherance of the the agenda regarding and the organizing methods of people that are supposedly advocates regarding the Black Lives Matter movement. That's also relevant evidence pertaining to the fact that Black folks in California could not care less about Black Lives Mattering, especially when they're gang stalkers. But things such as buying mansions with money that people gave you in furtherance of that agenda is also common sense information about how they don't actually care about Black Lives Matter. But anyway, this demon is monitoring, and she is doing so, and it's supernatural while she's engaging in that behavioral pattern of stalking as you're getting past the superficial appearance of it, and stalking in the path, in the facilitating environment. That's a pattern of conduct, not a delivery of groceries from Walmart coincidentally happening while I'm capturing my shadow in the shade and the sun being over the same apartment building and reflecting off of the windows of the adjacent apartment building at 6:33 in the morning. And it's also establishing the criminal conspiracy. This is how you're going to prosecute the demon-possessed entity that's targeting American citizens. And while they targeted me, and these demons think that calling me names such as not being a lawyer is going to stop their prosecution. While you are engaging in what is legally analyzing the pattern of conduct, you can call it whatever you want. It's a prosecution, and it's evidence to put you where you belong, which is inside of a mental asylum in federal prison. This third party is being documented on a separate occasion on March 26, 2025 on video at 10:44 a.m. So you can take a look at it yourself. She's engaged in bathroom monitoring, engaged in operation of her communication device. She's even wearing the same outfit. Okay, perhaps a different weave, but the same outfit for purposes of very easily identifying her. And on this day, on March 26, 2025, she's also stalking in the path. She's stalking in the path, and the demon is doing so in operation of a communication device, not coincidentally in my path while I look outside of the window and capturing who is in my presence. The same demon that's operating license 6GRJ178. Today on May 21st, 2025, 2 months earlier, she's engaged in monitoring my genitalia, which is exactly what I'm referring to during the course of the video, engaging in homosexual, sexually violent conduct, monitoring the vagina, the genitalia of another woman who doesn't welcome that sexual attention from another woman or from a male. I didn't invite them in the bathroom. I didn't say, hey, you can keep me under surveillance. I didn't say, hey, I want to be on places like OnlyFans. I didn't say anything of that, and I have not behaved myself or conducted myself in any manner throughout my entire life, let alone in May of 2025, that I want to be subject to bathroom monitoring like this demon is doing on March 26, 2025, and like what she is doing while she's in the parking lot, because you do not cease to be a part of the entity when you drive away, engaging what is stalking me in the path in order to cut me off and make sure that somebody is present with light activity crossing path with me, which is the evidence of a stalker and a demon-possessed one acting in conformity to the government's P.O.C. Not a private citizen engaging in any constitutionally protected conduct. That also happens to be the way in which you monitor. You're going to be prosecuted, and so is AVANATH Capital Management. And this same demon, this African-American female who you will see on video March 26, 2025 at 10:44 a.m. at what is 7 minutes and 23 seconds, she is obsessively stalking me in the path, while she is also, again, looking at me, making eye contact with me at the moment that I open the windows, which is, again, inaudible to the human ear. This is a demon that knows where I'm at, knows what I'm saying, knows what I'm doing on my device. And this is also the same time that she begins movement, which is not merely wanting to get out of the line of path with my communication device, which she knows that I'm recording on, not because I'm holding my phone and that I am engaging in anything that would suggest that I'm focused on her. She knows that I'm focused on her because she's monitoring me, but nothing about my behavior is suggesting that I'm focusing on her. She is aware of what I'm doing. Her behavior is showing that she's focused on me because she's in the specific environment, number one, and she is also engaging in what is both wanting to get out of line of my camera, but is monitoring and doing so because while she begins walking at the moment that I open the blinds and show her stalking me in the path while I'm inside of the bathroom, capturing video evidence of bathroom monitoring on March 26, 2025 at 10:44 a.m., this demon begins walking, which is called stalking with activity. She's walking in engineered light, which you already know is present both at dark and on cloudy days, where I'm showing you engineered light, for example, so you know the significance of walking under the engineered light that's present on a cloudy day, and also at the same apartment complex where the fake sun is rising and setting. So a cloudy day is not deviating from the pattern of conduct. But the engineered light that's inside of Tracy Banks's apartment, like I documented at 6:33 this morning, this is what this demon is doing on video on March 26, 2025, where she's obsessively stalking in the path. And at the moment, with knowledge, not coincidentally, that I opened the blinds in order to see this African-American female wearing the exact same thing, who is also, and then again, walking and looking directly at me, not because I'm making any noise that would cause her to look directly at me. She's looking up at me, speaking to knowledge of my presence when I'm not knocking on the window. And ordinarily you would walk by and you wouldn't even have any sort of knowledge about me opening up the blinds. This is somebody that is, again, not very much aware of the surroundings like I am prosecuting. She's aware of what I'm doing because she's targeting me, and her targeting me is evident through the specific environment, and she is also documented in more than one video. That's what I'm getting to. That's the evidence speaking to what is federal prison, by the way, while this impunity is being captured in 2 separate videos. And she is again today bearing license plate 6GRJ178. By Providence, this tacky demon is wearing the same exact outfit so that you can easily identify her as well. And on this day, on March 26, 2025, on video, she's present at the People of the State's apartment in unit number 41, apparently not delivering groceries, but just engaging what is standing at the staircase and then walking by, which is crossing path conduct and engineered light, like what she's doing today. On video at 6:33 a.m., she's crossing path in engineered light, just having groceries. That's a prop. That's a prop in her hand, with the flashing of light. And the demon rapidly disappears. I step outside of the apartment and there's no vehicle in the parking lot in order for me to document this sex offender that's engaged in bathroom monitoring on March 26, 25. I walk outside of the apartment after I capture her gang stalking me and her focus on me in the window when I'm not knocking on the window. I'm not speaking loudly, but I don't have to. While I'm sleeping, demons like her are focused on me. While my panties are down, demons like her are focused on me and my genitalia. While I'm quietly opening the refrigerator door inside of the apartment, demons like her are focused on me and stalking in the path and engineered light. Her looking at me is evidence of her targeting me. There's nothing that would cause you to look up and look inside, specifically in through the bedroom window where I'm located at the same time that I began documenting on video. That's just paying attention to the detail. The evidence of targeting me is presence in that specific environment, and the fake sun is there speaking to the stalking conduct of an entire apartment complex, including this African-American woman who has not a lot of clothes apparently, while she is on video engaging in the P.O.C. with the same outfit on. Okay. And as I step out on video on March 26, 2025, this is seconds later, and this demon vanishes. There's no vehicle in the parking lot. There is no presence whereby she is going to be, again, captured, walking away, running away, driving away. She is rapidly disappearing, which is what I took as evidence that this is somebody associated with AVANATH Capital Management employment, whether or not the entity is going to produce all the evidence pursuant to those who are gang stalking. But I just want to be clear. Today, on March 21st, 2025, she's engaging in what is the delivery of Walmart groceries while she's stalking in the path. And she is bathroom monitoring while stalking in the path outside of unit number 41 on the morning of March 26, 2025. And I will point that video out to you so you can see it yourself. This is just capturing the specific stalkers. Remember, you're acting as an entity, so my ability to just tie together details like that is not, you are not forgetting the fact that the entity is using nameless people. Millions of people are keeping me under surveillance inside of this apartment. That's why the people of the state in units 33 to 64 are going to prison. They are maintaining obsessive presence with a population that's pacing on the in the sky space around in traffic out around the property. The demons such as RGS who come onto the grounds of the property, regardless of the identity of the actors. That's why those two buildings and the employees are subject to prison. And that's where your co-defendants are going to be subject to federal prison, in addition to where they are speaking and out of their mouth, which is audible activity, monitoring the target individual. You will not also then engage in what is threatening the target individual while you're monitoring. You will not then engage in what is criminal defamation while you are engaged in federal stalking and monitoring. And you are engaging in what is threats to engage in criminal summoning. You're going to prison for that. This is all the reasons why the demons in units 33 through 64, LYNDA, REYES, and every other employee of Woodside are going to federal prison, and Daryl J. Carter's problems are continuously being detailed and diligently outlined for the prosecution of AVANATH and the prosecution of AVANATH's employees, the prosecution of the demons at the venue, which includes all 144 units, and particularly those that are documented stalking with the Ontario Police Department, which is subject to prison, and those that are engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring via units 33 through 64, who UC's their very pivotal presence while the fake sun remains over me, while they surround me inside of the apartments. And going to work is no deviation from avoiding federal prison and mental asylum, because the demons are doing so while they are aided by the population, which again, the demon bearing license 6GRJ178 demonstrates how that is executed. And it's the same iteration. 8 Wendy Henry Charlie 403 is the demon that's gang stalking under the 3:37 p.m. fake sun, doing the exact same thing while the fake sun is still over the same property. I'll remind you about that video as well. There was a body of evidence speaking to again the foolishness of Tracy Banks to engage in what is nothing other than the desperate acts of a delusional and very severely deranged and also an intellectually impotent third party that does not understand the significance, how she's been surrounded with laws and rules which are going to cause her to silence herself while she is engaging in what is gang stalking with a government for which she is going to a mental asylum. And no gang stalker will harass, psychologically torture, criminally defame, and continuously gang stalk with impunity like you're not going to be prosecuted for it and remain outside of the walls of any facility, namely prison and mental asylums for gang stalkers. This is the delusion that Tracy Banks is suffering from, and she's going to get a rude awakening. She's going to wake up from that delusion inside of her cell, which is going to be inside of a mental asylum. And the people of the state are gang stalking with her. This is why you don't gang stalk with high school graduates that are envious of the target individual like Tracy Banks is, because they're going to be prosecuted for everything that came out of her mouth this morning. And this remains the case. It is currently 9:06 a.m. I wanted to give some additional context regarding this gang stalker that is previously documented and is doing so through a malicious guise. This is a mask while you're delivering anything, while you're engaging in anything. It's activity creation. A whole fake sun is here proving that. P.O.C. All right, a couple of notes. I want to detail the criminal defamation that Tracy Banks is engaging in. I want to quote, after capturing the documentation of stalking by the people of the state, including Tracy Banks, who was on video engaging in it, this third party then commences to engage in what is harassment. It's psychological torture while your relatives are targeting you and then criminally defaming you. And then also don't forget what Tracy Banks has committed. She's engaged in fraudulently procured means of seeking to criminally defame me through the libelous and malicious acts of corrupt courts who are gang stalking in California, such as any acts of conservatorships that are, again, underway, meaning this is something that I am not aware of. This is something that is criminal with regard to the entity that is targeting me and seeking to defame my character while I'm documenting the criminal conduct that same court is engaging in against me, and then that court engaging in what is an exercise of fictitious authority, defaming with Tracy Banks. Any acts of power of attorney, any act of any conservatorships, this is pursuant to the pattern of conduct that Tracy Banks is engaging in, and no court, no judge, no attorneys are engaging in that ignorantly, in the same way that they are under the fake sun, stalking in the path, stalking with light activity, engaging in presence in that environment. You are not ignorantly engaging in that. That is how gang stalking is underway in the more sophisticated manner via the courts. This is how they accomplish kidnapping. That's the whole purpose of gang stalking, through the satanic and supernatural pattern of conduct, where then in the courts they're procuring through the illusion of mental illness where the targeted individual lacks evidence to prove it. And that's how they kidnap you. In the gang stalking courts, the gang stalking judges, anybody aiding in what is any existence of any conservatorship, any power of attorney over me, through this demon-possessed psychopath, Tracy Banks, they're going to prison. Okay, it's not going to be me that's going to be kidnapped. It's the entity that engaged in that with the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police Department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. I mean, the documentation is full circle. They're going to prison for that. They're going to prison. Do not forget about how the entity has procured these malicious acts defaming my character, and all of it is necessarily behind the back of a licensed attorney, behind the back of a college graduate, behind the back of somebody that is out living independently, providing for myself, and I have no idea that this demon that wants to be a prophet wants to steal my evidence and act like she's me, act like she's being targeted by me, and then defaming my character and keeping cameras in my apartment, capturing footage of my nude body unbeknownst to me while the entity has engaged in what is sex trafficking. I'm going to prosecute for that. The entity, remember all of the facts, while the demon is inside of her apartment engaging in the following acts of criminal defamation, stating, number one, I'm going to, and this is a quote, I'm going to call 911 while she's pacing in her apartment. She gathers her phone. She goes into the bathroom, closes the door. And that's the video that you can hear where it sounds like water is running. That's I'm capturing video and I convert it into a podcast. But that is documentation after she is stating a threat. So absolutely you document the threats. She is stating, quote, I'm going to, and remember, you're stating this out loud in order to provoke me into some state of fear and stop documenting you while you're trying to murder and defame me. And I'm supposed to just stop documenting it because you mentioned the police who have no jurisdiction. You're not violating the law. You're dealing with very delulu psychopaths. She's delulu. But remember, when you're dealing with gang stalkers, those illusions is exactly what the police use to kidnap you. Is exactly what the people of the state use to bear false witness. It's exactly what the courts use to criminally defame you and exercise fictitious authority when they entertain malicious acts of what are prosecutions accusing you of any crimes that you did not commit and any means of defaming your character where you don't suffer from mental illness at all. And I mean that. Never committed a crime, suffer from no mental illness. The entity's engaging in the P.O.C. And it starts with demons like Tracy Banks, who is engaging in, I quote, the audible activity creation in the following ways. Quote, I'm going to call the police. And she's gathering her phone while she's pacing and walks into the bathroom. And I commenced capturing video. You can hear the water running in the background. There is a male's voice that I hear on speakerphone and I hear nothing else. No, after I start documenting, no more conversation about it. It immediately stops. Then she's engaging in what is a conversation on a phone. You're paying attention to how the personality changes. Also, this is the mental illness of a demon. You're paying attention to the personality adjustments in the course, throughout the course of my documentation. Okay. But immediately that conversation ends. And I'm reminding you about what she's already done. So you can listen to what it is that I'm stating. Because I'm reminding you, remember what, because I'm always doing this. Oh, while she's saying this right now, recall the documentation on April 7th, 2025. Because I'm reminding you about what she's already done, what the entity has already committed. And as I go through that, these demons are changing personalities. Okay. So this is what the demon is doing. This is what she's referring to while I begin capturing that video. And again, upon violating no crime, I'm documenting the gang stalker, and the gang stalker is engaging in what is obstruction of justice, which is meaning she's never, when she is prosecuted, she's going to die. Unfortunately, she's going to die. If she does not repent, she's going to die as an unrepentant sinner who's going to bust hell wide open. But she is going to expire in a cell in a mental asylum. This is where she's going. But this entity is gang stalking via criminal defamation. And then she goes into the bathroom, and there is a male's voice that is on speakerphone as though she is calling some sort of authority figure. They're not actually authority figures. They're all exercising fictitious authority. This is surveillance. So you don't have any probable cause. You're not learning about any information from the people of the state. This is a malicious iteration of the P.O.C. All right. But you're hinting at that. You're even stating that you're going to do it. It's audible activity creation. You're trying to threaten me, and I'm going to prosecute you for that. The demons are going to learn to watch their mouths. Okay, so the entity's engaging in that. And I also want to be clear. Not only is that the threat of criminal summoning, Tracy Banks also is engaging in what is, I'm quoting, you need medicine. Quote, end quote. So this is the entity engaging in what is criminal defamation. That's audible activity that she also engaged in, which is criminal activity. She's monitoring. And it's also criminally defamatory, malicious. While the mentally ill person, Tracy Banks, license 9HUZ740, is engaging in the pattern of conduct and wants to be me at the same time. So you're trying to criminally defame the person that you actually want to be. It's very sick what Tracy Banks is engaging in. But I want to document that. She says, quote, you need medicine, end quote. Criminal defamation. And also she is engaging in what is stating, quote, you're crazy, end quote. That's criminal defamation. And she is also stating, I'm going to get rid of you, end quote. That's relevant. That's a threat that you could take multiple ways. This is somebody that has conspired with other people to murder me. This is also audible activity, which is accomplishing monitoring me in the same time, which is a threat to my life also. And thirdly, this is somebody that is threatening what is kicking me out of the apartment as though I am here, forcing her to have me here, while she is in fact gang stalking me, and I am in the financial position because this entity has been obsessively targeting me, including in the workspace, which the city of Los Angeles, Dominic Choi, Michael Moore, Karen Bass, the people of the state of Todd Speaker companies gang stalking me at work, are responsible for. While I'm in her apartment and she's still gang stalking me, the entity would suggest through that audible activity that I am keeping her in a position where I'm forcing her to be here, and I'm here because the entity has been gang stalking me. Under no circumstances whatsoever am I under any sort of desire to be living with this psychopath who is obsessed with my genitalia. She's obsessed with not only my genitalia, she's obsessed with my thought process. She's obsessed with how I style my hair. She's obsessed with the way I blink my eyes. She's obsessed with the way I walk and move and just have my being. She's obsessed with me. And through that audible activity, she is suggesting that I am under any circumstances here because I want to be, because I planned on being here, because I have any other alternative with regard to documenting the terrorist herself who was gang stalking me repeatedly with the city of Ontario. Gang stalking me, which is why my car has been stolen by the entity that's targeting and creating what is a financial position that is not the cause of the targeted individual, having nothing to do with the inability to provide for myself as the targeted individual. In fact, this is the speaking to the delusional psychopath, the very malicious third party. That audible activity that she creates is going to be used to prosecute her. It's going to be used to prosecute the gang stalking government, and it's relevant to damages that she is admittedly responsible for as she speaks as the entity. This is what she is stating, and it's the entity that's acknowledging the fact that I'm in her apartment because she is gang stalking me, and not that I am any sort of burden and that I want to be here by anything that I have created myself while this demon is targeting me. This is the one that had the high school graduate that has baboon poo for brains. This is all I'm doing is documenting it because I'm going to prosecute. I'm going to prosecute. That's malice in HD malice. Okay. The entity is engaging in what is criminal defamation and is doing so while stating things such as not only that she's going to get rid of me, but also that I'm going to get you a quote. I'm going to get you a hotel room and then I'm going to leave you there. And I want to be clear. This is exactly what this third party has already done. And I want to also document the entity that she did it with. The third party, I documented the entity gang stalking me at all the hotels. So you're already aware of that. The entity is targeting. It's the same entity when I'm at any hotel room. Marriott Bonvoy has demonstrated that. The Hilton has demonstrated that. What is the Best Western has demonstrated that. The entity that is gang stalking through what is the hotel, specifically Motel 6, has demonstrated that. And also another hotel, the Wynn, the La Quinta Inn, which is Wyndham. They have demonstrated that they're engaged in the conduct as an entity, and in particular at G Street and what is Vineyard in Ontario, California. This is where this third party has engaged in targeting me before and is doing so with the people of the state. And she has already engaged in, this is what I'm stating, everything that the entity does, there is somewhere where I can refer to it. It's a tactic that they've already exhausted. And this demon has engaged in what is gang stalking me with the people of the state, feigning to have paid for a hotel room. And this was at the Ramada, which is in Ontario off of G Street. And this is, again, Wyndham, that's gang stalking, at what is the address 1841 East G Street in Ontario, California. And Wyndham, which is a documented third party, pay attention to the documentation of La Quinta Inn. This is another Wyndham venue in what is Hesperia, California, where the entity was maintaining the fake sun over me, by the way, from morning until evening. The Supernatural, the facilitating venue, where Wyndham is an established domestic terrorist, profiting, just like AVANATH Capital Management is, from domestic terrorism, its employees, its guests, the people of the state, in concert with the city, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department in Hesperia, gang stalking with the people of the state. And Tracy Banks is engaging in, while she is engaging what is quote, I'm going to get rid of you. I'm going to get you a hotel room. I'm going to leave you there. She's already committed this egregious act, violating me and keeping me exposed for the entity to murder me, to kidnap me, to defame my character while they are psychologically torturing me with her. She doesn't cease to be a part of the pattern of conduct while she is engaging in what is paying for a hotel room, but not really paying for it, because the entity kicked me out of the hotel room after I remained overnight and stated that because of the hotel room that Tracy Banks said that she paid for but did not actually pay for. These are third parties that are targeting me together. It was a way for Tracy Banks to remove herself from being documented while she's engaging in the pattern of conduct. While I document Wyndham in Hesperia, while I document Wyndham, the Ramada on G Street in Ontario, California, I am documenting Tracy Banks. I'm documenting the people of the state. I'm documenting LYNDA Reyes. I'm documenting the people of the state. I'm documenting Daryl J. Carter and AVANATH Capital Management. I'm documenting the people of the state. I'm documenting San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department gang stalking me through the people of the state and the policing department, which is San Bernardino County in Hesperia, California, while I am in Hesperia, and I'm documenting the people of the state. Understand how the entity is engaging in that P.O.C. as one, and Tracy Banks is engaging and stating while she's threatening to, again, kick me out while I am under no circumstances here because of my own being, because I just want to live with this 60-year-old wrinkly demon that will never be me and wants to be me. I am here because the entity has been gang stalking me obsessively, and the evidence shows that the entity is still gang stalking me and engaging in what is the quote, audible activity creation of what is quote, I'm going to get you a hotel room, and then I'm going to get rid of you that way. This is what the entity has already engaged in through Tracy Banks with Ramada in Ontario, California, where the entity had the fake son over me. And this is evidence that the entity has stolen and has removed from existence, by the way. The fake son remaining over me at the Ramada in Ontario, California, and doing so while, again, the employees and all are the same demon-possessed entity, knowing exactly who I am, and their knowledge is relevant and proven through the fake son over their venue, which is outside of the natural environment. That's how you know that they know who I am, and they are all stalking, including through the operations of a corrupt third party that's maintaining a hotel. And Tracy Banks at the Ramada, which is Wyndham, a third party that's engaging in domestic terrorism in California and throughout this country, which is what my documentation of Wyndham gang stalking me lets you know about throughout this country, where we're subject to surveillance. And in the hotel room, which is a private space, and Wyndham is a documented gang stalker who was engaged in obstruction of justice, where that evidence of them gang stalking me, while then the next day they are engaging what is kicking me out of that hotel room, where I am subject to what is being targeted on the streets, where I'm homeless, and the entity is gang stalking with the same Ontario Police Department, while that fake son remains over me while I'm walking everywhere that I'm walking, and the body of evidence of Ontario Police and the people of the state knowing who I am and targeting me and psychologically torturing, which this African-American female demonstrating while she's stalking with light under a fake sun at an apartment complex, which is the specific environment, speaking to her stalking and being a psychopath, thinking that she could behind a Walmart brand and grocery bags and engineer light and under a fake sun, is what is proving that she is representing the population that is engaged in gang stalking me at the hotels, where Tracy Banks has already engaged in what she stated she was going to do, because this hostile demon is mad about the substance of the significance in capturing that fake sun that's reflecting off of the windows of the apartments at units 33 through 48, where the specific environment, not the natural environment, would have the sunrise over me outside of my living room window at the same time in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6 in Los Angeles, California. The legal analysis is speaking to what is, again, the entity that is overwhelmed with evidence and the entity that is targeting, including through any hotel that she wants to name. These hotels are gang stalking. They are the people of the state, and they're going to be prosecuted like AVANATH Capital Management and its employees are going to be prosecuted. And the evidence of Tracy Banks taking me to a hotel and that hotel accepting money that is, again, profiting from domestic terrorism, engaging in the elements of monitoring with Tracy Banks, with the entity, with the city of Ontario, and then the entity deleting, removing, exercising control over my documentation, my evidence, my intellectual property, protecting terrorists like Wyndham, sex offenders like Wyndham, third parties like Wyndham who are gang stalking, while Tracy Banks is referring to a method that she already engaged in with Wyndham, the Ramada off of G Street at 1841 East G Street in Ontario, California, where she is engaging in what is leaving me at this hotel as though she's paying for it for over 3 days, and the demons are permitting me to stay overnight and then kicking me out the next day. The fake son is remaining over me at that venue as I'm documenting them on their surveillance cameras. I'm documenting the engineer light inside of that hotel room, just like I am at La Quinta Inn in 2024, at the Courtyard by Marriott, at Town Place Suites by Marriott, at what is the Marriott in San Diego, California, where the entity is maintaining the specific environment. That's exactly what Ramada by Wyndham is engaging in, and I'm documenting it. And they kick me out because they are aware of the fact that I'm documenting them. And Tracy Banks is leaving me, abandoning me, like the predator and like the psychopath that wants to murder me, like she is, true to form, and is referencing something that she's already engaged in. So I want to include that because everything that she's stating is relevant to what is criminal defamation, malicious purpose behind gang stalking in the first place. This is somebody that is fully capable of what it is that she is accused of, conspiring my murder and then trying to lie her way out of it. This is why she's gang stalking. Gang stalking is also that which is relevant to premeditation, calculating the demise, the loss of life, whether it's through suicide. The government is not less accountable for the loss of life, whether it's through what is the entity that's gang stalking. There's no legitimate car accident or no legitimate accident when the entity is obsessively keeping you under surveillance and gang stalking you. That's a murder where the entity is controlling the narrative whereby loss of life is accomplished, and it is a murder by the entity. Tracy Banks's ability and her willingness and her culpability, her malicious mind state with regard to conspiring my murder is also demonstrated through her gang stalking me. Okay. And this is what is relevant when she's making such statements. And I want to make sure that that's included in this evidence where I'm documenting her quotes and what it is that she's doing. She is monitoring, and she's also referring to tactics that she's engaged in. There is no third party that's there is no venue that is not engaging in the P.O.C. And there is nothing that's going to reasonably suggest that the pattern of conduct is all of a sudden going to stop. And there is no evidence that's going to prove that you are not a third party because the entity has stolen evidence of you gang stalking. In the same way that I haven't made up any aspect of the P.O.C. or any aspect regarding the pattern of conduct that I am subject to and have been threatened by, and the entity has engaged in a pattern of surveillance, meaning stealing evidence. That's evidence of surveillance as well, when you steal the evidence of you gang stalking, which is what the Ramada by Wyndham has committed, while their criminal conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring has been removed from the record. And in the same way that I am now, I can fully testify to what Ramada committed as a third-party company and as a third party with regard to the people at state gang stalking with the city of Ontario, which is the state of California, because I can recall it. Okay. The entity is engaging in it with impunity and malice. It is currently 9:27 a.m. This is reference to the audible activity, which is criminally defamatory, and that's relevant to the entity's purpose to kidnap, to obstruct justice. In other words, to harass and intimidate, psychologically torture, especially as a gang stalking relative. It is again 9:27 a.m. and this is P.O.C. This is light activity creation, while RGS is gang stalking with impunity, stalking a woman and also engaging in the perpetual sex offense against a woman that's documenting them, and they are aware of that as well. That's the violent sex offender RGS. Landscaping, who is stalking amongst impossible light that's shooting horizontally. This is a supernatural occurrence while you're seeing where the light is being aimed horizontally through the apartment. This is what I'm taking pictures of while you'll see the demon pacing under the fake sun at the vehicle that I documented this morning while they are under the fake sun at 7:29 a.m. This is the entity that's gang stalking with the city of Ontario over my head while that fake sun is over my head. This is the people of the state gang stalking with the state as RGS is using the windblower as a means of audible activity. Driving by on Vine is stalking with activity while the city is maintaining surveillance with the municipality proper. This is Polyon. This is the entity engaging in surveillance of a satanic nature, and the entity engaging in what is the use of the leaf blower. You'll see the images of it. He's stalking in the path. The sound of the windblower is audible activity and impossible light activity under the idle fake sun that is rising and setting over me in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens, which is where LAPD, the city of LA, is gang stalking just like Karen Bass is, as I'm documenting the city of LA engaging in the statewide pattern of conduct in that specific environment. And it is under no circumstances causing any sunlight to shoot horizontally into the depths of an apartment. The use of a leaf blower is just one method of what is stalking with noise, which is what demons do who are monitoring. Monitoring a woman is a sex offense. Monitoring is state action as well, and RGS is engaging in it with impunity. Okay, remember the fake sun is over the same apartment where you're using a leaf blower to monitor, not engaging in what is constitutionally protected or within any business right to engage in what is domestic terrorism and psychological torture by using a company name merely to do so. This is also not the product of sunlight.
providing relevant context regarding what RGS is engaging in maliciously, while those stalkers know who are acting in furtherance of murdering and kidnapping me, and engaging in what is the pattern of conduct of criminal defamation with Tracy Banks, threatening and harassing with Tracy Banks, engaging in psychological torture with Tracy Banks, while I'm being targeted with impossible light, manifesting in all manners at all angles inside of this apartment with regard to what is targeting. Surveillance is underway in that specific environment, and no iteration of the natural environment will create the ability to create light activity like I'm showing you is happening inside of the apartment. And this is the same framing of engineer light around the front door where RGS is gang stalking. Okay, it is currently 11:49 a.m. They're also monitoring and stalking with impunity and malice. This is ongoing obsession by a company, by the people of the state who are exhibiting this mental illness while they're targeting me, and they are keeping the evidence about them targeting me under surveillance as well. And so this is the stalker acting while they know that the stalker, which is themselves, is being documented. That's relevant to the prosecution of the employees and also the company and the government itself. It is 11:49 a.m. where the city of Ontario, that's again Paul Leon's removal from office while a demon is using a plane flying over my head while the fake sun is directly over this apartment, and this light activity which has nothing to do with sunlight that's being aimed inside of the apartment and all manner of direction, creating a magnified size of shadows. I can show my hand at a great distance. This is called stalking with light. This is what RGS is doing. And doing so under the guise of a company name. You're just going to drag that company name in court. They're going to be exposed as sex offenders, the company name, and the employees representing that company. And that's what the entity is doing. So that's how you're going to prosecute it. It's currently, again, 11:50 a.m. This is P.O.C. Stalking with light is criminal interference with quiet enjoyment. Daryl J. Carter, the executives of AVANATH, the entity gang stalking LYNDA Reyes, the employees of AVANATH, they're going to prison. And I'm going to prosecute Daryl J. Carter and AVANATH Capital Management for criminal interference with quiet enjoyment that's underway inside of this apartment while acting with RGS, that is gang stalking with AVANATH. This is P.O.C. None of it is constitutionally protected. This is absolutely impossible light activity. This is surveillance. An apartment complex is stalking an occupant. The unprecedented criminal system is going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally. P.O.C. The current time is 11:57 a.m. and what you will see in the Google Drive reflected in images and captured in video, which I immediately followed with, you will see the evidence of RGS. This is the people of the state gang stalking under the 11:45 a.m. fake sun. The entity is stalking amongst what is legally referred to as criminal interference of quiet enjoyment while you're being stalked with light, which is a terrorizing and psychologically harmful event pursuant to surveillance. And it is the evidence of intentional acts of stalking and monitoring that a corrupt company, RGS, is engaging in real time while they are monitoring the evidence about their stalking behaviors and their sexual violence under a company name, and as the people of the state individually that are going to be prosecuted. Those are the people operating that vehicle associated with RGS. And let me go ahead and remind you about that license plate. The license plate of the demons gang stalking. It is indeed license 46046 Frank 1. That is the license plate of the white truck with the RGS California 1872 T. That is again California 187277. Bearing the license plate for RGS, license plate 46046 F1. That could be an E, but I believe that's an F. 46046 F1. The demons that are still with the same vehicle, you will see them gang stalking. Carrying a leaf blower is evidence of presence in the path, which is a crime. And it's a crime committed by the government, by the people. You'll see this in images at 11:45 and 47 seconds. This demon begins sounding the leaf blower, by the way, at the moment that I begin capturing the fake sun over my head, where you will see the city of Ontario gang stalking. This is the identification of not only gang stalking, this is stalking as an entity, but it's also your ability to know that this is particular, whatever is operating this aircraft that's flying underneath the fake sun that's hovering above the same location where it was on video at 7:29 a.m. Remember, as I advanced what was west from Tracy Banks's apartment front door to the parking lot, the fake sun advanced with me, and it's over the same
hood roof area of the building that it is right now, in the image captured at 11:45 a.m. And this is your ability to know that this is not just a gang stalker associated with the city of Ontario, but this is a demon that is gang stalking using aircraft. As you see that fake sun over me, and you see what is crossing a path above me, as I am in use of my communication device capturing gang stalking by the city of Ontario. That is who the entity that is gang stalking in the sky space. That criminal conduct is going to be associated and attributed to the municipality. And it's at 11:45 and 39 seconds. This is when the demon immediately begins sounding the leaf blower, which is audible activity pursuant to use of my communication device under an idle fake sun. The same position that it was when they were on video this morning at 7:29 a.m. And that fake sun advanced to be over the same roof that it is Tracy Banks's apartment door in particular, as I captured it on video. These demons are also gang stalking with the city of Ontario, who is providing evidence against them, because you already know that they're gang stalking with the government under the fake sun, and amongst impossible light activity with the population, for the government to engage in the elements of monitoring on camera and via podcast, as I document, is the government providing evidence against the people of the state, which is, again, the implosion of the system of federal group stalking and monitoring, and the inevitable demise of prison. Particularly, remember, RGS has already documented, and the pattern of conduct is suggesting that mental asylums upon deportation for anybody that's a gang stalking immigrant, which you're not going to remain in this country for any gang stalking immigrants. But the entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct amongst RGS employees in particular, exhibiting severe mental instability that is depicted as I am documenting their pattern of conduct, their criminal activity. You're already mentally ill, as a matter of fact, when you're gang stalking. The demonic pattern of conduct is absolutely psychopathic, malicious, and demented. The entity that's engaging in what is surveillance, in other words, aware that they're being documented, on top of the fact of engaging in the very mentally demented patterns like RGS employees have. I have already stated on the record that they are subject to mental asylums, and RGS employees are continuously engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct, demonstrating severe mental instability. Not instability that is speaking to ignorance regarding the criminality, regarding the inappropriate the level of impropriety regarding stalking, regarding monitoring a woman that's documenting, which, again, that the entity knows that they're being documented is already established, that the entity is engaged in federal stalking is already established, that the entity is intentionally stalking by creating the elements of monitoring activity under the fake sun and engineer light, that they know that, not just engaging in it, but that they know that they are intentionally doing so. That's already established. The entity is doing so to its own demise, while this Latino male heavyset is engaging in what is pacing under the fake sun, wearing a brown hat, a lime green long sleeve yellow shirt bearing the RGS logo on what would be the left upper hand portion on his chest, on the left side of his chest, with a leaf blower in what is his right hand, wearing dark jeans and dark brown boots, in relevant position, stalking with audible activity over the same sidewalk where the fake sun is at, again, at 7:29. So that's 8, 9, 10, 4 hours later. And this is coexisting with the entity that's keeping engineer light inside of the apartment. And so this is also how you know that RGS are mentally ill. RGS employees are mentally ill while they're gang stalking, and their mental illness, as they prove it, engaging in gang stalking me, they are engaging what is evidence that's going to support their diagnosis and their placement in mental asylums as opposed to what is federal prison. At least this is what the evidence supports. Federal prison is fine with me, but where I am speaking to what are rules surrounding, where you want to engage in what is stalking somebody amongst impossible light activity, you like your shadow to move across, vacillate over buildings while you're stalking somebody, you like to do that in somewhere where your mental illness can be treated, and that's the evidence speaking to mental asylums versus federal prison. You like to engage in gang stalking by engaging what is pacing and it's amplified in volume, and then have the police join in with you because you derive pleasure from gang stalking somebody that's even documenting it and threatening the life of that target individual. You want to go to a mental asylum as opposed to federal prison because you're not avoiding confinement when you're gang stalking by residents and when you're systematically gang stalking like RGS is. So you're picking whatever venue you want to go to because you're going to either or. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while impossible light is filling Tracy Banks's apartment. It's on the ceiling at 11 in the morning. At 11:37 in the morning, at 56 seconds, you'll see impossible light. You'll see impossible light that has appeared on the pictures inside of Tracy Banks's apartment as it's shooting what is north into the air in the apartment, and I'm putting my hand through it, and it's appearing on the pictures. And as I put my hand through it, you can see concentrated light that's not coming from the sun, as it's shooting at an angle where sunlight's not coming from the sun that's above the building. That is light that's shooting north in the middle of the air through the apartment at a low elevation in order to touch the pictures that are on the TV stand underneath Tracy Banks' television in her living room. That's impossible light activity while the demons of RGS are gang stalking. The demons are doing so in what is impossible light activity. In other words, the fake sun is the hallmark for understanding and recognizing where stalking, which is pursuant to monitoring, which is state action, is occurring amongst a whole community. All right. The apartment complex in particular is being prosecuted comprehensively while it is engaging and maintaining that specific environment around me, and they are being systematically prosecuted for that. The includes what RGS is doing. Using a leaf blower is audible activity, while that impossible light is framing the front door that you'll see at 11:38 and 9 seconds. You'll see that engineered light along the ceiling at 11:38 and 2 seconds. You will see the engineered light that is appearing on Tracy Banks's pictures, which is on the second shelf, where it is illuminating the pictures, and then I get a close-up so you can see impossible light that's touching the pictures, and then I could put my hand through it. At 11:44 a.m. you will see my hand, and you will see the engineered light that is, again, speaking to light that is horizontally aimed, which is not going to be any sort. There is no explanation for the sun being over the building and the sun being the explanation for this light activity shooting inside. It's the same with on the ceiling, because remember, this vantage point is going downward toward the pictures. I also have the trajectory that was appearing earlier behind the wall, but reaching behind the TV stand. I also have what is aiming upward onto the ceiling, which I can also put my hand through that, and my shadow appears at a distance away from me. This is the light activity, which has nothing to do with the fake sun. This is what's happening yesterday evening at 5:38 p.m., which I capture on video when the entity is monitoring my genitalia in the bathroom, and I show you the impossible light activity where they are stalking with noise, which is demonic and psychopathic, very deranged and demented and perverted. And the light activity is such that you're understanding this is impossible light activity having nothing to do with the fake sun. The fake sun shows you who's being targeted, and it's me. And the entity is engaging what is stalking an engineered light that is manifesting supernaturally. And you are vividly seeing that and understanding what RGS is doing with a leaf blower, and it's not landscaping, it's monitoring. And at 5:38 p.m. yesterday on May 20th, 2025, when I open up the patio glass door and you see shade outside and you see my shadow upright at a distance away from me on the east living room wall, as you can see me holding up my phone, capturing it through that shadow, that's the light that's being shot toward the ceiling, that's being aimed behind the TV stand on the living room wall, that's being aimed on Tracy Banks's pictures where I could put my hand through it. That's the same light, the same character, where RGS is being prosecuted both civilly and criminally as a company, and its employees are going to be prosecuted, and any gang stalking immigrants are going to be deported. You are not welcome in this country to engage in any form of domestic terrorism, especially terrorism that is sponsored by the state, that is mandated by the state, with the people of the state. So you are witnessing the grand departure of a lot of immigrants who are engaging in domestic terrorism, as I've documented and proved it, and I have proven that in California. And by the way, these immigrants who are gang stalking, they don't belong in this country. Not only is RGS demonstrating any of those that happen to be immigrants, because they're not necessarily immigrants because they are of the Latino or Hispanic native, but I want to be clear, the entity that's engaging in gang stalking acts with impunity. Those that have been also including those who have been given the granted the privilege to be here. They are always communicating the fact that they hate this country, the fact that they hate the laws of this country, and the fact that they, with the government who's gang stalking with them, understand how the United States government feels toward while they're engaging in a demonic pattern of conduct, keeping us all under surveillance without our knowledge and consent, except for the demons that are monitoring with the government. They've consented. That's why they're engaging in surveillance with the government. But engaging in surveillance, unbeknownst to American citizens, in a satanic manner, is that which is evident of hatred. And you need to understand that Satan, which is a spirit who is using people, that's why these people are demonstrating and showing their hatred for this country and hatred for people whom they are monitoring and keeping under surveillance. That's the spiritual aspect. The legal aspect is you need to understand not to feel sorry for these so-called dreamers, for these so-called those who are benefiting and are being, and this country is supposedly being benefited by them coming into and benefiting our economy and the workforce and creating jobs. No, they're not. They hate this country, and their documented criminal pattern of conduct, when they are shown to be engaging in what is terrorism, they resort to more of it. You're legally analyzing the stalker at all times. They have no regard whatsoever for civilization and for law and order. And this is, again, you're going back to the state. The state is the one that's engaging in and encouraging public corruption. But those who are being granted the privilege to be here, you're out of this country and you're not welcome here either. And your hatred for this country is duly noted. So there is no feeling sorry for these gang stalking immigrants. They deserve exactly what's coming. And it's going to be permanent deportation. Amongst those who are going to prison and mental asylums, and that includes the employees of RGS. So the entity is doing so while you are mindful, paying attention to the impossible light activity that's inside of the apartment. And that license plate that I recited is representing the same people of the state RGS that's gang stalking, and doing so under the malicious guise of engaging in landscaping. And the pattern of conduct is superseding any psychopath's iteration of the pattern of conduct, where you are blowing leaves, where you are pulling up grass, where you are mowing the lawn, and you're engaging in the elements of monitoring. Those are the psychopaths that are engaging in the sex offense of gang stalking. It's malice incarnate. It is currently, by the way, 12 p.m. The entity, I want to be clear, after I'm capturing the video, you'll see the images of this demon engaging in what is stalking in the path with the city of Ontario at what is 11:45 and 47 seconds, pacing around using the leaf blower, pacing around in all the images at a distance as I'm pointing out, and I'm showing you all the iterations of stalking with light and nothing other than activity creation, which is going to be a grounds for criminal activity, period. You can state everything that you're stating about what you were doing pursuant to a contract with AVANATH. It's all an admission to gang stalking. You are not getting out of the pattern of conduct. All they are ever doing now, when you're understanding the P.O.C, which is public corruption, is admitting to engaging in the pattern of conduct. So the entity is doing so on camera. The moment that I start capturing video, this is when the demon is disappearing. You don't see him in the video. As I start uploading this video documentation to the Google Drive, this demon is, again, surfacing via audible activity, which is amplified inside of this apartment, which is the communication of a threat. This same demon with that same license plate that I recited. And remember, there were two of them stalking under the carport with engineered light all over that brick wall, under that fake sun at 7:29 a.m. that's still remaining as a matter of evidence with the city of Ontario at 11:45 a.m. He comes outside of the apartment threatening with regard to activity creation pursuant to monitoring and furtherance of kidnapping and murder. That's how you're legally analyzing the monitoring behaviors of RGS. That also knows, not coincidentally, stalking with audible activity using a leaf blower at the moment that I begin uploading the evidence of gang stalking by a third party such as RGS amongst impossible light activity inside of the apartment, and also impossible light activity covering all the grounds. Okay, that demon is engaging in what is communicating a personalized threat while I am uploading RGS's criminal engagement in gang stalking me with the city of Ontario. And that is a personalized threat, and that's also unlawful. And that's also why you're understanding mental illness is psychopathic, malicious conduct, not mental illness that is removing responsibility such that they don't know or understand or cannot appreciate the criminality or the impropriety or the fact that it is undesired by the one that they're targeting. Neither is that the case when you're prosecuting stalking under any circumstances, by the way. Remember, the difference here is just that the fact that the stalker is the government and the stalker is demon possessed. That's the only difference. It is currently 12:15 p.m. This is P.O.C.